robotic delivery on her gets away with a disperse.
Some damage on the best. Stone Shield prevents almost all of the Fearless. Right.
Shadow keeps juking Real. The Real can't find the hit. Shadow's still alive.
He's fighting for his life. He's fighting for the championship. He's fighting for everything he stands.
It's their game to lose.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 68 of the Smite Update. My name is Octane Pro, and as always, joined by my co-host here, we do have Smitten and F. How's it going, guys?
What's up?
What up, friend?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So another week, under our belts here. A lot of exciting stuff going on with the SPL. We have a little time to play with the patch as well. So a lot of cool stuff to go over today. If you guys are new to the Smite Update, not really familiar as to what it is exactly, the Smite Update is a show that airs every week right here on Smite Game that goes over community news, esports news. We go over the patch or upcoming patch. And then we just kind of discuss everything and go around the table a little bit here and there. So before we dive in, I'll throw it over to F. What have you been up to this week with Smite?
Little bit of this, little bit of that, Octane. As always, streaming on my nightly Smite game slot. But of course, dialed into the esports stuff. So lots of SPL, and this weekend, Challenger Cup as well.
Yeah.
North America went pretty interestingly. Five-Finger Men did do rather well, but they didn't take the gold. So we went ahead and I casted that with Cret, and then this morning actually was really exciting. This morning I got the opportunity to cast. Well, I called a couple of games solo, but after the fun that was that, I actually was really excited to bring on Mortality's own iRaffer, who honestly I picked up iRaffer. The minute I said, "Hey, Raffer, what are you doing? You want to cast?" He said, "Oh man, I just woke up, but I'll give it a go." And so we get in there, and it was just awesome having a pro's perspective, and I was able to really probe him for information. So it was really exciting. I love casting with other casters, but it was definitely a different dynamic having a pro in the box with me.
Sure, I can imagine. Sounds like a lot of fun. A lot of work, but a lot of fun, to say the least. Glad a little.
Exactly.
Hard-working man.
iRaffer's a cool dude. He's a cool dude.
Very.
So, Smitten, what about you? What have you been up to this week with video games and Smite?
There are other video games other than Smite.
There are. Come on now.
All I've been doing is playing Smite and going to school this week. That was it.
Okay. I mean, not a... I believe there was a girl quite a few months back that was playing other games here and there, Rust and all those types of games. So come on now.
We had to shut that down. Like, people were going crazy. Anyways,
the only Rust I remember is that Call of Duty map. It was like,
oh my word! Look at you.
Remember the map? It was mad small. It was basically just like it's where we settled on beefs. Rust.
Oh my god.
Great.
Yeah. So this week was a lot of fun.
Okay.
The patch, I cannot wait to talk about the patch as usual. But I also got to hang out and watch the SPL this week. So
I was so proud of you watching Europe.
I saw her in chat too, and I was like, really? Smitten's in it watching SPL this week? I'm excited.
You get a gold star.
That's right. You did your homework. You did your homework.
I did my homework.
More than Octane.
I'm hashtag
probably.
committed, baby.
Probably. I mean, I watch mostly all of Europe now, but a little bit of NA here and there. But between the three of us, I think we have it covered this week, to say the least. But yeah, outside of me, played Smite a decent amount this week. Decided to play a little bit of Counter-Strike Source, the competitive mode. Can I say there are more trolls in that game with the voice comms than Smite? Without a doubt, dude.
Really?
Oh my word.
I am
How?
proud of you for playing one of my favorite games, but
I actually have sitting right here the original Counter-Strike box in perfect condition from when I bought it in like middle school.
Nice.
Original.
I didn't buy Counter-Strike because it was a mod for Half-Life. I bought Gunman's Chronicles, which was a $4 bargain bin at Circuit City, and
Circuit City. There's a throwback.
Exactly. Gunman's Chronicles gave you the entire Half-Life suite. Half-Life, Ricochet, etc. So, even older Octane, what?
Oh my god. Boys, you're both pretty. Settle down.
So anyways, I tried it a little bit. Like I played plenty of Counter-Strike, Go, Source, 1.6, everything, but I decided to play a little bit this week. And Source was terrible. But I tried it out, and like the people that you get queued with, and they're just like playing music over the voice comms the whole time, talking trash, blaming their lag. They're, like every other round when they die, like, oh, my lag's terrible. I can't handle these servers. So
it's just like playing with Shing.
Oh my god.
You said it.
Oh my god, he's gonna get in so much trouble.
But yeah, all I can say is I have a much more appreciation for Curse and the Smite community right now. After playing that a little bit. So that was last night actually. I played some, and it was enjoyable. I actually got to see how terrible I am at it, but it is what it is. So before we move on, guys, I'm going to go ahead and put a link in chat. I'm actually going to have you guys start to put these together ahead of time throughout the show. We're going to go ahead and take some of your questions live via ask.fm. So we're going to get to this later on in the show. But if you guys want to, I'm going to go ahead and post a link in chat. Please feel free to go ahead and visit it. You don't have to sign up for anything. Just go there and post your question. It could be about esports. It could be about the patch, gods, community news, Smite, pretty much anything related to Smite or any questions directed towards us. Feel free to go ahead and post them over there, and then we'll check them out throughout the show and take some towards the end. Also, some show news. We're going to be giving away 2 400 gem giveaways on our Twitter account. So it's twitter.com/TheSmiteUpdate. You'll see a link in chat here very shortly for that, and feel free to go there. Keep an eye on that throughout the show, as we'll have 2 400 gem codes there very, very shortly. So I'll go ahead and put that link in chat here. And,
gem codes? Can I win?
No. Because you don't.
Please.
Nope. Come on, these are for the viewers. Why you got to jump in on that, huh? Why you got to ruin it for them?
We get to have gems too, right?
Isn't that how HiRez pays you in gems, bro? You're just rolling in it, right? You're just rolling in it.
I wish I got paid in gum.
Oh, getting paid in gems, that sounds like something legit.
I know, right? They'll spend them all in one place, bro. They'll spend them all in one place. So let's go ahead and jump into our first section of our show, which is community news. And something that kind of slipped through the cracks last week that I wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up about is the Smite Community Magazine. And so this is something that's been going on and been running for quite a few months now. It's a great magazine where there's a handful of individuals over there that are putting together great articles. This issue has a lot of things like Smite 101, how to build different gods and item builds. There's an interview with HiRez KP in there. There's also an interview with DM Brandon, and there's a bunch of other cool stuff like Cosplay Corner and a bunch of other stuff over there. So go check it out. Game On Magazine or GameOnMag.com, and they have magazines in all different games. One of them being our game Smite. So make sure that you guys go over there and check that out. Your microphone this week, F. is like super sensitive. Just want to put that out there.
You told me it's because I boot.
You have ADD worse than I do.
All right, so I'm just putting this out there.
It's
folks.
cool. It's cool.
Octane's software is Garbo, and he blames me every single week that
Garbo.
I'm too soft. So I raised my volume by like 0.007, and now he's complaining that I'm too sensitive.
I just turned you down, and Smitten set it up the first time perfectly. She didn't have any problems at all. How come you can't do it? How many weeks you been on the show?
Right?
How many weeks you been on the show, bro?
Actually, realistically, how many weeks have I been on the show?
You really want me to look? All right, let's find
Yes.
out. Let's find out.
Yeah.
We got time. You ready? I'm gonna look right now.
Let's think about it.
Because
Okay.
it's been that many weeks that you haven't calibrated my camera, and people just see up my nose because it's way too close. And then you and Smith look fantastic.
Oh.
So
Well,
it's
you know.
Come on, honey. I always look fantastic.
Look at this. All right, let's see here. Let's go back to 49 was when we talked about the launch tournament. Or not launch tournament. That's when we talked about Worlds. I think you were on here for that. So let's go back a little farther.
It's actually
my
further.
goodness.
I'm actually
further.
yeah.
Farther is not correct English.
Oh my god, I want to smack you right now. Seriously. All right, let's look at 40, episode 40. You were on the show. Let's look at Let's look. I don't even know
So
if
at least 38 weeks.
Yeah, it looks like actually 38. Episode 38 is when you started.
I really just thought I started about a week ago, but
You act like it sometimes, so it's all good,
right? He's brand new.
Why am I on the show with you?
All right, so moving on to important things. Also out there, there was a community skin poll that was put together for Thanatos, and I'm going to go ahead and bring this up here. I was interested to find out what you guys actually voted for this poll. Which one did you guys find to actually be, your favorite? Let me go ahead and bring it up here. Smitten, what about you? Looking at the community skin poll, which one did you pick for the Thanatos skin?
The one that progresses throughout the match. I think I love the concept. It's unfortunate that the skin's going to Thanatos, but that's for another discussion. Thanatos sucks. Anyways, so yeah, I voted for the one that progresses throughout the match because I love that concept.
Okay. What about you, F. Dot? I know you're a big fan of Thanatos. Which one?
Dude.
Big fan of
Did
Thanatos.
Did you?
Angelic looks so cool. Like, I'll be real. It's gonna take a lot to get me off of that Diamond Thanatos. Real talk, I think. And it's not like a check out my diamond. It just looks dope. I think it's one of the cooler looking diamond skins. But that angelic skin might be cool. I really didn't want to go Mr. Roboto. Like, I'm so bored of Robo skins. And like Gundam, I'm a huge nerd, but when it comes to like anime and stuff, I'm pushing it. So that doesn't really resonate with me. And then the other, it was like Dark Lord, and I was like, Thanatos is already kind of a Dark Lord. And then there was, what was the fourth one?
You thought way too much about this.
Yo, realistically, this was like a 4-second thought process. It was just like, no.
Yeah, I just scrolled through, clicked, done.
But so it was Angelic, Robo Man, Dark Lord, and what was the fourth?
I don't recall because I can't bring it up anymore.
I do not recall.
Because it's like you have already voted, so I can't see.
I know, right?
Delete the end of that URL. You realize that?
What's that?
You can just open it up into a cookieless browser like incognito mode and put off the end of their URL.
Are you telling people how to cheat?
I know, man.
You can't re-vote. You need to log in, but you can see the poll if you were curious.
I'm on it. I'm on it right now. As I throw that up there. All right, let's take a look here. Let's take a look. See, what are we gonna do? This is why we keep this man on the show. Apparently, this is why we keep him on because he knows his stuff. All right, let's see here. Let's see.
Oh my god.
Oh, look, chat's so much better than Octane Pro. As usual!
There we go.
And Demonic just didn't do anything for me either.
Yeah, that one.
Looked like another, see, with Dark Lord and Demonic, I'm like, dude, Thanatos already does that. Like, he's already, like, the scent of death or whatever his stupid lore title is. So, like, whatever, dude. So
the stupid lore title that they spent so much time working on.
I feel like
I'm sure they just like took his title somewhere.
I feel like the robotic one could be very similar to like the Geb one and start to go into some of those themes like we start to see like idea. How like we have like the pirate theme right now, they could have this robotic theme. You could have Geb 1, you could have the robotic, they could sell, they're very much right now into these whole like bundles and packs that they're selling.
Right.
So this could work out and you could see this robotic one on different individuals as well, which would be really cool. I would love to see that. Imagine having an entire robotic team. I think it'd be kind of cool for your team fights and stuff. Mine came down to either robotic or came down to the Dark Lord. Were the top two that I liked.
Yeah, those two were actually really lame, so you're really lame.
No. I like them.
You know what? I gotta give you 10 points for the response. You're just like, no. You're usually not that.
Right, clear cut.
I'll just tell you when you're wrong. You're wrong.
So you're never gonna tell me anything, I guess.
Oh my god.
Oh.
As I say every episode, I'm gonna fight you at the next land. So we're gonna keep that up, right? Every episode now. So let's go ahead and move on here from the Thanatos skins and take a look here. Something that came out this past week. I wasn't sure if I wanted to put it in the notes or not, but I thought it'd be good, so people understand. So
this is huge news, dude.
All right, well, why don't you give it then? Go for it. What do we got?
SmiteCentral has a change of operations, so a lot of people have been associating SmiteCentral An error has occurred while processing my request. I guess that's why they're under new operation. But SmiteCentral has gone through a number of one major change. Cooper, might know him as Lol Coop.
Cooper.
Woggle Cooper. It's all good.
Yeah, sometimes he feeds on camera for viewers. But he also is
Don't we all?
admin. I generally just look cool and happen to play a video game at the same time.
Oh my word.
And
That's
feed. It's
independent.
alright.
But anyway, Cooper's my guy. Cooper's a good friend of mine. I worked for SmiteCentral. He was the one in charge of a lot of the articles, if not all of the articles. All right, dude. And so he's actually left SmiteCentral and went ahead and joined Tier Monster. This is a very political article, frankly. There's no, oh, well, he fought with me or he liked my sister. I don't really know the story behind why he's taking off, but he will be joining the Tier Monster team. SmiteCentral presented this article, and it seems rather okay. Like, they're happy, they wish him well at Tier Monster, etc. But so the type of journalism that we've seen come out of SmiteCentral, their main writer will be heading to Tier Monster, so we might see a swap of content, or Tier Monster might start putting out more journalistic content like that, because Cooper is he was the main writer for SmiteCentral, so things a little shake-up in the journalistic side of things for Smite.
Crazy.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what type of direction they end up going, to be honest with you. Like, we kind of, SmiteTube started out, and they went with some certain direction, and then things kind of changed up quite a bit. So I'm eager to see what direction, and where it goes from here.
Anybody else hear the fire alarm?
Yeah, that's upstairs.
Yeah,
that's upstairs. That's upstairs in my house.
What's burning? What's for dinner?
I will go check that. I don't know. I will let you guys continue.
What?
Okay. I guess he's gonna go check that. Hopefully everything's alright in the land of Octane Land.
Okay, if the stream dies, then we'll know there's an issue. That's about how we know.
Yeah, I mean, that is what it is. But so SmiteCentral, I still have my show there. Cret and I every Tuesday do Banzu. Smitten doesn't watch, but she should. And
I didn't even know that you did that.
We've been doing it for a long time running, but actually we did just relaunch the program. It's actually pretty cool. Cret and I we kind of just mull over SPL and things like that for 2 hours. This week our topic will be in-depth analysis on Thirst, what went wrong this season. We're actually going to touch base with Wolfie himself and really get the inside look on what's going on with Thirst. So that's still SmiteCentral content, twitch.tv/SmiteCentral. We go on at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to check us out and follow us there. It's a good.
Sweet.
It's not always a review show, but it's a good catch-up for stuff that, if you're busy with school for the SPL, you can't really check it out, or whatever else Smitten does that her excuses are. So you can go ahead and watch our show, and we can help you out.
Dang, I don't know how to play from behind like that. Like, dang. Whatever.
I'm just messing around. Oh, we have Octane back.
I'm back.
Octane, how's the house?
We're good. My wife was making homemade pizza and was outside, and a little smoky upstairs, so took care of that.
Did she burn the pizza?
I think she did, but it's not my deal.
Did you burn the pizza?
I'm not worried about it.
Did we just say the magic word up, Todd?
That's right.
Wait, did you burn? Octane, important. Is the pizza burned?
I don't know. It's not my call. I wasn't watching it. It wasn't my responsibility. All right. So
I sincerely hope that your pizza is okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Meal.
So, anyways,
I take pizza seriously, all right?
we can tell up dot, so it's okay, dude. All right. So, moving on from there.
Wait, is that a fat joke?
Yes, that was a fat joke.
Oh my god.
I love you, dude. I love you. So moving on from there, let's talk a little bit about a Smite parody that HiRez put out this past week with one popular song right now, all about that bass. And yeah, look at you dancing. So what your thoughts were on this. This isn't really something that we normally see out of HiRez. So what were your thoughts on this? Kind of doing these parodies.
Wait, what was the question?
All right, good job, champ. That's strike one. You got 2 more.
So what did you
vote you off the island?
What did you guys think? What did you guys think about it?
It was the parody for all that about that bass. Did you see it with Bacchus and Kumba?
Yeah.
So what'd you think about it?
I liked it. I thought it was cool.
Okay, it's not a parody. It's not a parody. Tixia in chat has corrected us. It is a music video. You're actually 100% correct. I don't know why I let Octane say anything.
When
about
it's listed on Hi-Rez's website as Parody, I call it what it's listed as. So, just saying. I'm just saying, you know.
God, I love you, but he might have got you there.
Like,
that's the first time Octane has ever been
I
ranked
hate
in
you.
his life. So.
I hate you. I hate you.
Oh
All
my
right.
god.
So, Smite, what'd you think about it? What'd you think about it?
I liked it.
Okay.
I mean, like the song before it was paired with Smite, and now it's even better.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like it's a song, like it's for girls though. Like the song is about girls, for girls, and like there's no girls in the video. Whatever, it's a thing though, right? I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
That's the joke.
Oh, whatever. Whatever. It doesn't. I'm not even concerned about anything you're saying.
All right. Outside, you know, so if you guys do want to check it out, I'll put a link in chat. You can also go ahead and look in the comments as well on YouTube if you're checking out the VOD. Outside of that as well, talking about, you know, some of the content that we did have this week. We did have Trendkill at it again, working on Know Your Enemy, the YouTube series. He started out, you know, he's got Neith, Ymir, Ra, and now he's moving on to a jungler here, Thor. So we do have the video out right now. I really like where these are going. They're coming out a lot faster than I thought, because I remember when I spoke with him and he had said like the first one took like a month or something like that to put together, and now we're seeing these almost weekly now, which is really cool. I think these are great. We're starting to see more and more like new player or novice player type of content coming out on Hi-Rez Studios YouTube channel. So I'm really happy with it, with the direction they're going with some of this stuff. I think it's pretty cool. All right, so moving on as well, we had some stuff going on here. I'm really eager to see what...
Look, I know I'm the esports guy. Can I please say one thing about content?
Nope, not allowed. What do you
No.
got? What do you got, bro? What do you got?
Well, I liked the All About the Vase video. Thanks for asking. I thought it was neat. And I think TK's killing it. He's doing a good job. I guess that's the end of my input.
Thank you. Thank you.
But no,
This is why we don't consult you about content. You're just the esports guy.
You're that guy.
You're the guy that we ignore until halfway through the show.
Pretty much. But on a real note, I
Yeah.
think that the Know Your Enemy is fantastic content.
It's done very well.
Coming out from Hi-Rez Studios officially, just because it's really TK. It takes the basic level of understanding. So I'm just trying to fix something. So it takes like the basic level of understanding that a lot of people get from streams like Smite game or whatnot. Like this is the game, this is what you do, and it makes you think about the individual abilities. A lot of times there are small things that people miss in Smite. For instance, if you use Apollo's dash, if you hit something, you get a tick of the passive going towards your audacity and your double attack speed. Neith Unravel will heal you. It'll also debuff enemy attack speed. Things like these that TK really goes in depth and Hi-Rez really goes in depth with in these videos aren't really thought about until you think about them. They're just sort of like bonus. Shut up, Smitten. I see you're smart. But so it really helps.
They're not thought about until you think about them.
You know what? It was deeper.
What a statement.
No, it's a deep statement if you let it ride. So
deep and philosophical.
Look at him trying to explain himself too. He's like trying to justify it. I love it.
Look at the face.
I feel like you need a cigar right now. You need to be in your den, drinking your scotch.
But
Like
no,
corn
on
cob
a serious note, it's content like this that will elevate the casual player into. It's still a casual player, but because it's it's aimed at the casual player, but we can see the casual player base get a better understanding of the game, and that's always fun, having your player base be a little bit, well, better.
Yeah,
So.
everybody has an idea of how the moves work or how the abilities work, but there's a lot of little things about abilities that people don't, I guess, realize, and I think that's the point you're trying to make, F-Dot, is that it's really cool that they're bringing these things to light.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think
exactly. It's cool stuff. And at the end of the day, I just got to give a shout out to my man TK, killing it as always. Still live.
Still live in Atlanta.
Still live.
All right, so moving on from there, something interesting actually. HiRez Stew had posted this on Twitter. He said, "Small hint and spoil: when the next patch comes out, it will be advantageous to own these skins." And he went ahead and explained, the different skins here. You have the little devil one, Cupid, misdiagnosis, and then finally Wrangler, Artemis.
There you
Sorry, thank you, appreciate it. So interested to see what direction they go. You know, kind of pointing these out. Any ideas here from you guys at all as to what they're kind of gonna combo together to make it, you know, a benefit? You know, if they're gonna be changing something up particular or
Sounds
any
like a
ideas?
costume party.
What it sounds like to me is that those particular skins will do more damage than non-skins.
Oh, really? Wow, man, that sounds awesome.
It's been an unknown fact about Smite. It's the elephant in the room that
Stop.
nobody talks about.
Stop! We gotta cut this. No.
It's on Reddit.
Win.
It's on Reddit. It's on Reddit already.
Skin to win
Pay to win.
is the Illuminati of Smite.
I'm just kidding. I don't even know what Smitten's talking about. Illuminati and now who's the one getting faux philosophical?
Yeah,
Thank
right?
you very much.
There you go. There you go. So kind of cool idea. You're gonna see, you know, where they go with this. You know, I'm noticing more and more like Hi-Rez Stew, you know, getting a little bit more involved with some of that. You know, posting a lot of this, you know, kind of semi-spoiler hype type of stuff. A lot of excitement. Those of you guys not familiar, Hi-Rez Stew is the president of Hi-Rez Studios. So pretty cool to see. We'll have to see how that works out here in the next
They
patch.
also named it after him, Hi-Rez Studios.
No comment.
Oh my God.
Moving
Oh my
on.
God.
Moving on. Something else I wanted to point you guys over
Conspiracies
to.
are real. Sorry.
You're just sitting over here like, Illuminati! Conspiracy!
Illuminati! I don't know, man.
So
It must be you.
some other stuff to talk about as well. Community news. Curse and Loot Crate are hooking up with subscriptions, and they're kind of doing some Smite game type of stuff. I actually wasn't aware of Loot Crate for, I don't know, until maybe 2 months back or so. It's a pretty cool concept that they have. You pay a certain amount per month, and they kind of send you nerd gamer type of swag in a box, you know, loot, you know, crate as that goes along there. And they're partnering up with Curse and also Hi-Rez a little bit. And in the next one, you know, going over here over kind of that holiday weekend within Halloween, they are going to have a Thanatos skin within that loot crate. So it's kind of cool to see that Hi-Rez and Curse are kind of reaching out into this. So it's kind of sweet.
Wait, in-game skin?
Yes. They're going to have like a card of some kind, I guess.
Exclusive?
No, this is the same one that we had last year.
Okay.
The Jack the Reaper one. I apologize. I did not make that clear. Thank you for pointing that out because that's important. That's important. So yeah, so it should be pretty cool, giving people an
That's
opportunity.
really important because that's yeah, it's the Halloween skin. A lot of people were asking that. A lot of people were asking about where they could get the Halloween Thanatos skin. Do we know if it'll be released just again for purchase via gems?
I don't know actually, because somebody was asking me that the other day when I was playing him in Assault, and that was actually something I didn't know. You know, I know sometimes the Christmas ones come around each year, but I didn't know with the Thanatos, as last year was the first time it came out, if we would actually get a chance to see it again this year. So maybe somebody from Hi-Rez can finalize that in chat if you're hanging out, or let us know if we're going to see that here again. That'd be cool to know. Because if it's not, and it's only available in the loot crate, that'd be kind of cool.
Can I go now? It's
Yes.
my turn.
You have to raise your hand first, and then you're allowed to talk. What do you got?
Can I go? Okay. Do you guys
Yeah, I
remember?
get a lot of people asking me about the Jack the Reaper skin.
So do you
And where they
guys
can
remember
get
the day that Thanatos skin came out?
I do
The
not.
day, like, whenever, like, how hype it was, like, it was back when Bart was, like, still streaming, like, for a big chunk of time on Smite Game, and they were doing that Twitter rally thing where they say if we get, like, 3,000 retweets.
That's right.
Oh my god, that was, like, the most hype thing in the world. Sorry.
It was pretty sweet. It definitely was pretty
Ah, beta days.
Somebody in marketing was thinking, because that was a very good idea, to say the least. So moving on, let's talk about PAX here a little bit. A little change of scenery here. PAX Australia. We actually have Drybear and also Todd Harris heading to Australia for PAX right now. They'll be heading
Kinda
out.
jelly.
Yeah, I know, me too, right? And
Drybear has been traveling the globe.
yeah.
Globetrotter. Like, he's been all over South America. That's kind of jelly.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. They're heading to Australia for this PAX event, which, for our understanding, has not really occurred in the past with other ones. And at the same time, we got to see within PTS, or more like read about it, for me at least, was about within the PTS, some testing on the custom matches within the Oceanic servers. So, you know, kind of hinting more and more towards, you know, starting to see another region pop up in availability for some possible Oceanic servers that hasn't been confirmed in any way by Hi-Rez. It's just something that's been hinted at. We've seen some things dropped on Twitter from some of the Hi-Rez employees and stuff like that.
I
So,
mean,
Nice.
You can play custom games on Oceanic servers on the PTS. How is that not confirmed? You can literally play in them.
I'm going to cover my butt,
More
and I'm
conspiracies.
going to cover my butt and say it is not confirmed by Hi-Rez that.
It was tweeted out to join custom matches to test.
Okay, so are you the one that is going to say that Oceanic servers are coming shortly?
No, I'm the one that's going to say they were literally on the PTS.
Okay,
They were playable.
you heard it here. Tom is saying Oceanic servers coming soon. Next patch, here it
Yep.
comes. Yep.
Next patch. You guys heard it here first.
Rip me.
Right here on the Smite Update Show, ladies
That's
and
right.
gentlemen.
That's right. And you know, finally, last few things to end out our community news section, guys. This weekend was SiegeCon going on in Atlanta over this past weekend. There wasn't really a ton published about it, like anything big going on. I know in the past there has been like tournaments and stuff like that at this event, but it sounds like this time around it's just been a booth, playable, you know, content there. Along with like cosplayers and stuff like that. So some pretty cool stuff going on there. It looks like
That's sweet.
Yeah, it ended today. So you know, nothing to highly report here, but just giving you guys an update on what's going
Except
on there.
Sly Fox was there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they brought in if you guys
boy.
aren't familiar, Sly Fox is, I guess you could call him a YouTube personality, celebrity. I don't know, what would you categorize it under, you know?
fangirl worthy.
There you
Cool
go.
dude.
Cool dude.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. He's pretty chill.
Sly's a really cool guy. I got the opportunity to meet him first at launch tournament, and then I hung out with him a little bit at PAX with alongside Fats. They know each other well. He's a really cool dude. So he was there. I just looked at the date. He was there.
It was. He could still be there. It went till the 5th, so he could still be there. But outside of that, anything's out. Looks like the Smite Odyssey. Last time I checked, right before the show, we're at 982 right now. So we are creeping up on that $1 million community-funded prize pool for the World Championship here in January. So pretty exciting, to say the least. Maybe we'll see a new Odyssey item this week. Hopefully.
That could be
Hopefully.
fun.
They seem to be releasing those pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The plan was for 21 weeks, one item a week. So we will definitely see one next week, Octane.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
It's like
sometimes,
scheduled
you know, I will say sometimes it drives me nuts that F. is right about some of these things. You know, I'm glad he corrects me, and I'm glad, you know, because it's good that people get accurate information. But he is the biggest smartass in the world. I'm just gonna put it out there.
I will not disagree.
So outside of that, last portion of the show is Streamer of the Week, and this Streamer of the Week is Mortality Esports Sayo, solo laner. So I'll go ahead and link him in chat. Go check him out. You know, it's nice, you know, when I go to work and you know, early in the morning, because he is in EU. He starts quite early for us in the US, but he is someone that's been streaming daily now. It's always nice to see some competitive players, you know, get to a more well-known status within the scene and then start to stream, you know, daily. Someone like SunTouch, for example. Like SunTouch is streaming every day, has that perfect schedule going on. It's great to keep with. So I encourage more competitive players out there to, you know, get on the schedule and stream as much as you can, because we as the viewers love that type of stuff. Love watching players.
If you support SunTouch enough, he'll actually dress up like Austin Powers, I think.
Oh my word!
It was so good. He got his sub goal, and like, you know, a lot of people's sub goals are like, all right, I'm gonna play a scary game, or like, yeah, we'll do viewer stuff, and he's like, no, I'm just gonna dress up like Austin Powers.
With the accent as well, huh?
It was hilarious. He had the wig on. He had the whole thing. He's playing ranked, and if you haven't seen,
how can you take that seriously?
You haven't seen SunTouch. if you haven't seen Sun Touch, he's got this speech. where he
Oh, I
goes
love the
into-
speeches.
He goes into ranked, right? He joins Curse, and he goes, "All right, team, I am a ranked player. I will communicate when somebody leaves lane. I will talk to my team. I am a ranked player. I will not have 6. We will fight against the team. I am." And, it is fantastic.
It's the best.
But onto our streamer of the week, Sayo, also very good.
Yeah.
Plays that solo lane. It's really interesting. I watch a lot of Sayo, so non-biased because we do have Mr. Manager himself here.
Mr. Manager.
I'm not being biased here, all right? I'm just putting
I
it
know,
out
and,
there.
and that's why I want to put my.
Thank you. Because I
I'll
already
put
saw the
mine.
Mr. Managers in chat. Thanks to you. Appreciate it.
No problem, Mr. Manager. But so I wanted to put my 2 cents in because
Okay.
Sayo's actually. I respect Sayo a lot. Sayo's a great player. Sayo's a good player, and watching his stream is cool. You get to see some of the insight. He's an ex-mid player, now solo lane player, and you get to see some of what makes the guy tick. He's a lot of fun on stream, likes to really talk about what he's doing and why he's doing it,
Yeah.
which is really cool for a pro stream. He is a professional Smite player on Mortality, and you get to see what makes that solo lane tick and why he does what he does, and it's very interesting to see the inner workings of a pro player as they go on. So twitch.tv/Sayo, and you can go ahead and check him out, as Octane said, usually in the morning,
Yeah.
because he is EU, but it's very cool stuff coming out of his country for him.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like early on, when he was getting more back into streaming and got picked up on Mortality and was going that direction, you could see that like when he was streaming and solo lane, he was still kind of had that like mid lane mindset. So you kind of got to hear him talk about like transitioning between mid and solo lane, and then you actually see it like this. Early on, you could see the struggles of dealing with like transitioning from heavy mage to now into a variety of different gods, Bakasura, Vamana, stuff like that he wasn't used to in mid. So it was a good learning experience, and he's definitely going far. So check him out, as F. Dot had said. I guess we'll go ahead and move on here. Let's go ahead and load up that ask.fm if you guys have time, and we'll take a look at a few questions here that people are going ahead and submitting. Oh, that must be Smitten's keyboard.
Nope. Not at all.
Oh, all right. Oh my word! You got to give him props, right?
Oh, sorry, I typed the wrong link in the chat. I typed twitch.tv/iRapper. My mistake.
Whoops. All right, so let's go ahead and load that up here. And it looks like there might be some old questions in here. Maybe not. There are 109 already. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take 3 of these questions now. And I want to remind you guys, if you guys would like to email the show at any time, we'll read your questions, comments, or topics.
Concerned
That's right.
dogs.
Over it is smiteupdate@gmail.com, and then we'll read them next show. So feel free to, if you guys check out the VOD and you want us to talk about something next week, smiteupdate@gmail.com. So let's go ahead and take a look through here. Smitten, we'll let you go first. Is there anything that stands out to you right now?
Yeah, and I'm thinking about the answer. The question is, why do pro players not play with Osiris that much anymore? He is still the same, just 400 more gold to get online. And I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about that. Like we've seen Kali picked up this week, especially in the SPL, but
Yeah.
I'm not really sure why people haven't played with Osiris very much. He's got a healing debuff. He's like a late game wrecker. I'm not sure. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I have seen, and I do apologize, there's a bit of bias here just with watching a lot of EU, but, the only person I think on EU that I've seen with Osiris more recently is actually Sayo attempting to play solo lane with Osiris in a few matches. He's getting quite creative in some of his picks, to say the least. Same thing with like Isis and solo as well. And he's done okay, but I haven't seen great success with, at least in that type of position. What have you seen though, after more with the Challengers Cup with Osiris?
We haven't seen much Osiris. Gods, chainsaw gods, as I like to call them, gods that do a lot of little damage like that, are actually tougher to play than some of the more ability-based gods or regular basic attack gods. So you tend to see them do very well at the high level of competition. Challenger Cup is up there, but not quite SPL level. So there's that. Osiris is So there's two things that influence meta. There's nerfs, buffs, and then there's just sort of the ebb and flow of what people are playing. We haven't seen too much Osiris. Essentially, so there was the change with chin size, which was nail 1 in the coffin, and the change to heavy hammer, which was nail 2 in the coffin. You used to be able to start heavy hammer, hog, and go into the jungle, and now not so much, or even in the solo lane, now not so much. You have to go ahead and actually purchase that for $13.50. So it's still doable because Kali is similar, but due to the recent tiny buff, Kali might be a little bit stronger as far as just a straight kill god. Remains to be seen, but we've seen what Gar's done with her. We've seen Kali make an appearance in the Challenger Cup. I do know that Wolfie prefers Kali over Osiris right now, just because
I can see that.
It's the ultimate is situational, whereas Kali is always viable or always pickable. You know, if there's not too many healers, you're gonna waste. It's not called Psycho Crusher. I can tell you that. Lord of the Afterlife. You're not gonna waste that ultimate with Osiris. We were talking a little bit during the Challenger Cup broadcast with iRaffer about Osiris, and he's just like, yeah, you know, he just doesn't do it anymore. A lot of junglers prefer the utility of somebody like Hood Bats, or even Freya with a banish, and Osiris just doesn't bring that. He brings a lot of other things late game, and the last time we really saw Osiris was Ananster, and Ananster built very interestingly. He built kin size and nothing else. He built kin size and heavy hammer and witchblade and all just defensive items, and the only damage that was coming out was kin size, and all the rest of else was things to slow the enemy and speed him up with movement speed. At the end of the game, at the end of a full build, he had 85 physical power because it was all chin size damage, and it worked out fantastically. That Judgment Tether is a really good, it's a really great ability. It not just tempers damage, it also tempers healing due to the way it works, and it's a fantastic counter to Loki specifically in the solo lane. So right now I think there are more utilitarian picks that will happen in the jungle, but with Loki so prevalent in that solo lane, I really like the idea of Osiris there, and I think that's where we'll see a resurgence of Osiris if we do.
Okay, yeah, good to know, just where he's at right now. So let's go ahead, take another question. F. Dot, do you have one, or do you want me to go ahead and read one off here?
Where are we looking at these questions?
Is that your question? Really?
Yeah. Well, is it on the Ask FM?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's on Ask.fm. Okay. Yes.
All right. Well, why don't you go ahead and pick one? I'll peruse and I'll find.
No problem. No problem. So, do you think NQ leaving C9? Okay, I'm reading it the way it's written. Do you think with NQ leaving C9, they can retain the 4th seed, or will SK take the seed? Also, can the Wildcard Pro League teams beat Agilitas and Potato Boys? So, this week's been a big one for the SPL. Kind of, there's 1 week left. A lot of teams, depending on their position, are locked in now for the upcoming EU regional championships that are coming up in November. So there's a lot of talk now of, okay, who's locked in, who is definitely concrete and going, and if they are going, now it's a fight for seed placement between them. So it's a good question here with Cloud9. Have you guys heard at all down the pipeline who's going to be replacing him in solo lane? You have a big smile. No? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Somebody knows.
Actually, no. Full disclosure, I actually have no idea.
Okay.
I thought you were going to ask me where NQ was going.
Oh, nope, he's going nowhere. He's locked.
He's stuck.
Yeah.
He's stuck.
Yeah, for those of you guys not... Yeah, go for it.
No.
I was going to say, for those of you guys not familiar, there were roster locks a few weeks back, and you are literally locked in. So if you have a disagreement with the team and you decide I don't want to play anymore, you can't go anywhere else. You are locked into that team. Now, granted, it doesn't mean that you're forced to play. Your team doesn't have to play you, but you can't go anywhere else. You can't, any other teams, SPL or Challengers Cup is my understanding. So, it's unfortunate that it happened, but my understanding is now that there'll be a sub of some kind filling in for that solo lane spot. Well, let's get back to the question. C9 and SK, thoughts on that 4th seed. Any thoughts there, F. Dot?
So SK's been on a down slant. SK's been on a down slant for, honestly, this is one of the things that I speak to analysts a lot about because we're all just genuinely curious. From the outside looking in, it seems like there's a problem in the support role, both mechanically and otherwise. But I'm not naive enough to pin an entire team's problems on one player specifically. So I think that's where some of the stuff is stemming from. But there are issues. There are larger issues. The solo lane Maniac does well, but perhaps not as well as he could. Part of the reason that a lot of these teams in Europe are slipping is Zelia showed up. Zelia, I notoriously...
He's a machine. Oh, my word.
I mean, Zelia, for those of you new to the Smite scene, Zelia was one of the more prominent and dominant solo laners once upon a time. Past the launch tournament itself. Played for Cloud9 with great success, and then left for Exposed Secrets, and kind of disappeared. And I notoriously said that he fizzled out and that we wouldn't see him anymore, but oh, how wrong I was, as he's made his return and I have egg on my face. He's playing out of his mind, and I think the only real solo laners that were able to hold a candle to him were early Sayo. We haven't seen that as the season trudges on, and NQ, who is not playing or cannot play professional Smite till January unless the team takes him back. So Zelia has really risen to the occasion, and Maniac has always been good and has been getting better since his inception onto SK Gaming. But I think some of the other solo laners have just sort of launched at this point. We talked about the problems in the duo lane. Obviously, what happens to one player in the duo lane will shade onto the other. I think it's a big... SK needs to figure out what's going on. I'm excited for LAN because I do know that SK boot camps for every single LAN, and some sort of hardcore. When it comes to SK's boot camps, they don't just play hardcore. It's a lot of practice, but it's also about just the experience of being with the team together and being able to just hang out, and be a part of the family. So I'm excited for a LAN to come because not only is SK fantastic on LAN, but the experience will also kind of help them out. As far as Cloud9 is concerned, with the absence of NQ, who I think is arguable for the 1 and 2 slot of best solo laners in the entire world, that's going to be interesting. Cloud9 saw a lot of success, especially a lot of success with NQ playing specific, interesting, meta-pushing gods, now out of the spotlight due to... NQ tweeted out that it was his own bad, that NQ was upset with the fact that it happened, but it was him not being able to control his emotions, whatever. That's a different conversation, but he won't be playing, and I think that will hurt Cloud9 more than it would help. I always think it's best to nurture the culture of a team over the boosting the super
individual players.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you want to ride your stars to a certain point. I don't know how bad it was, so I really can't comment on if I think it was a smart decision to value the culture over the situation. But it's a very, very powerful player. So I think Cloud9 and SK have a lot going on, and because of everything that I just said, it was long-winded, but basically it's a coin flip. Okay. Because of all of those factors, I would not dream of calling it.
I want to hit on a few things you talked about there. First off, with solo laners, I love the fact, just getting back to that, I love the fact that we're seeing this SPL style format that we have for the past several weeks, where it's not just an individual LAN where one player could be spot on and another player isn't, and then the results are there. This is a whole 7-week series, so players and teams are off and on throughout the entire thing. So early on, as F.Dot had talked about, Sayo was spot on early on within the SPL, whereas Zelia, as F.Dot talked about, kind of fizzled out. And then that kind of flip-flopped where Sayo was kind of in a rut. I think all of Mortality was in a rut, but then Exposed Secrets was oh my gosh, such a powerhouse. And Zelia and Frostiak were just a deadly combo. So it's kind of cool to see that kind of transitions with the players. Something else so it varies. Something else you talked about was boot camping. I'm eager to see how, boot camping is becoming more and more popular. We saw TSM doing it a lot with the launch tournament, and then prior to that with like the TSM Invitational with SK as well. Like a lot of that was made public. I'm really excited as time goes on to see more and more of these organizations putting together boot camps and seeing the value of the boot camp. And just as F. had talked about there. And then finally, last thing was commenting on NQ. NQ is, I guess you could use the term more of a veteran player. He's been in the scene for quite a long time. Yeah. I respect him as a player, and his skill set is amazing. And the game before his whole Twitter post and outrage about like, leaving C9 because they wanted to make me, bench me or whatever. He didn't perform the best in that game, but he didn't perform the worst. I think he went like 0-3 or something, or 0-4. And his first death definitely could have been avoided. But outside of that, everything else was just very situational based on the rest of his team. So I'm surprised by when a team wants to make a quick shift to sub someone in for a game or two or a week or two, and how easily players in our scene right now explode, especially with team locks.
I think it's less about that, and this is, because when you get benched, it's a lot different than subbing you out for a game. That communication is important, and a team like Cloud9, I assume, has somewhat, good conversations and quote management. I would expect there to be a conversation there. I mean, as we know, some teams in the past snipe. Haven't been too professional with the way they conduct their substitutions and stuff like that. That's why we have Thirst sitting 1 in 8 million at the bottom of the SPL.
Oh my word!
But
just throw it out there. Just throw it out there.
But so we don't know the inner workings, but I would assume and I would hope that at this point, there would be a difference between we're benching you permanently and we're going to replace you for a week.
Yeah.
I really don't know, and I don't think there's enough information publicly to anybody really draw any conclusions or to place judgment on either the organization, the players they're in, or NQ himself. And as I said, NQ came out on Twitter and said, look, I can be really intense sometimes when we win or lose. I can get into it, and I need to work on that. I apologize, but,
people are people.
Exactly.
I mean, and people are messy. So regardless of the situation, whether you're getting divorced, you got a bad grade, whether or not you lost a pet or anything like that, people are people and people are messy. So I'm not surprised at all to see some of these like what people would call unprofessional like tweets and stuff like that, because people are very passionate about this game. They're very passionate about what they do for a living, and I love to see that. Not only is it entertaining in the entertainment area, but I don't know. I mean, people are people.
Yeah, and actually, I want to make sure that this is that I say this. I actually don't have any problem with NQ saying any of the stuff that he said on Twitter. Okay. I have notoriously been not okay with some of the stuff that teams say on Twitter. And to what Smitten said, I love that you said that, because I actually completely agree, Smitten. I love to see the fact that these players really care about our game. I love to see it. Players like Wolfie and Durjuice always come out with these like, man, we did poorly, but we're going to try harder next time, guys. We got this. And I'm not discounting those. I actually really like stuff like that. I think it means a lot. But every once in a while, you just see humans on social media, which I feel like is okay. You're allowed to come out and be like, yo, I did horribly. I'm pissed as hell. We're going to come back. My bad. Like, screw it. Like, I like that. What I don't like is my team is bad, so I have to play Athena.
Yeah, calling it out like that, yeah.
So
That's literally happened, and you can find the player that did it. Yeah, I'm firing shots. I don't like that stuff.
We love the introspective stuff, where they're sitting there and they're analyzing, like, oh, okay, I did this wrong, or I could do this better. I like that, and not so much the player bashing, or saying, like, this person, yada yada, or whatever. Like,
yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's always, just as you talked about, F. Dot, like, it's always pleasing to see a team that loses and then the players go on Twitter and they acknowledge the fact of where they went wrong, let people know they're looking to improve, apologize for their performance, which it's nice that they hold themselves to a certain level and know that they've done bad, publicly. They put it out there. Hey, I know I did terrible. Going to do better next time type of deal. And so
Wolfie's great with that.
Okay. Something's a little off topic there. People were actually asking in chat, like, where can I watch Chinese teams play type of deal. And so I thought I'd help you guys out with this. Actually, Hi-Rez Bart posted a link on his Twitter some time back with a link to where you guys can check that out. Why are you laughing?
Totally smoked Kret. Totally smoked Kret.
Oh.
Kret was Kret posted to Bart. He's like, hey, check out these builds, and then Bart's like, hey,
yeah,
check out these builds.
He did. Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
no!
So thank you for actually correcting the source. That's why we have that here. So I posted it in chat. I go on there every once in a while, check it out. Check out what people are streaming. The amount of people streaming Smite and stuff like that is a lot smaller than what you'd get from Twitch. Now, granted, it's my understanding that like something like Twitch is not available in China, except for, I know, proxies and all that stuff. I understand, but this is something legitimate that they have. So there's the link in chat. Check it out, guys, if you guys are interested, and I will put it in the notes as well. And we'll take one more question here. F. Dot, was there another question that you could find out of that Ask.fm, or did you not even load it up?
No, I definitely
Okay, great.
was looking, and I'm not lying about this, and I'm gonna find a question. Thoughts where ShadowQ might end up?
Oh yeah, that's right. So
I saw something today, but I want to hear what you two have to say.
All right, well, let me just give a recap real quick. ShadowQ, previous player on Dignitas, was still considered on Dignitas until his contract was up. Hence why, the best in ShadowQ kind of left or stopped playing at a certain time period, and then the best's actually contract was up at that time, whereas ShadowQ's had a little bit longer left on it. More recently, his contract ended, hence why you saw a post from Team Dignitas about that. It's nothing new that like he wasn't playing on their roster right now, but he was released from the contract more recently, which now makes him more available because this was all prior to the lock that was occurring with roster lock. So he's kind of I guess we can consider him a free agent right now.
Yes, he is officially a free agent. As you said, rosters are locked, but that means you can't. You can join a team, you can leave a team, you can't join a second team.
Correct.
Until the play period of Worlds is finished. So there is that. Do you have any ideas on where we might see ShadowQ?
I don't know. Smite?
I see a smirk.
Especially, are we getting warmer?
Well, Snipe just went through a complete team redirect. I guess we could talk about that for a sec.
Go for it.
Snipe actually has Jerby did not play this week.
Yeah.
We had Incontinentia mid, who those of you new to the Smite scene might think this is an odd change. That was his original position, if I'm not mistaken. His Isis is level like 8 million, like my Thanatos. Got a lot of practice on those mid gods. Definitely knows what he's doing. So we had Incon mid and oh god, it's been a long weekend. Who actually was replacing?
Who filled in for
support role?
I don't recall.
Fantastic. I look very professional right now.
Put him on the spot. Put him on the spot.
Who played on Snipe? I'm sure chat will fix it. But
chat knows everything. Chat knows everything. Come on
now. But so Incontinentia has been playing or has played middle lane this past week. Jerby. It was Pain.
Oh my god! How did we forget?
Yeah, I see Pain every week in the Challenger Cup, so it's just been a long weekend, and that's my excuse this time around. But Pain Divion went ahead and played support, and that's a big dynamic. Perhaps we can touch upon that a little bit later if you want. Pain joining that team is definitely very, very interesting. But we go ahead and we take a look at that situation. So ShadowQ, Pain just joined the team, so ShadowQ for Snipe might be not the direction he goes.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
It's.
Do you think? Here's a question for I guess both of you guys. With being so close to the end of, I guess you can call these the qualifiers per se, with the leagues, with both Challengers Cup and also the SPL, is it risky making roster changes? This goes back to NQ, Cloud9, everything. Is it what type? I mean, we're talking some pretty decent risk right now with 1 week left, and for some of these teams, this week is huge, and for other teams, they're locked in. I mean, I don't know. Is it? To me, it's a huge gamble considering swapping someone else in, even somebody like Shadow Q in that situation. You know,
it is a huge gamble. I mean, we saw 3 very competent players, perhaps Gnaw a little less proven. But we saw Xing and Dare to Care. We saw Xing and Dare to Care join Dignitas along with, you know, like I said, less proven Gnaw, but 3 very competent players joined Dignitas, and they couldn't make it work at first. And that's Team Dignitas, a team that I have some of the most. Well, they can work. They can make it work. They practice. They go hard. And if it takes them a week to make it work, it's going to take everybody a week to make it work, in my opinion. And that's all you got, folks. So you got to make it happen.
So roster changes in week 1. Understandable. You know, Team Dignitas was under a ton of scrutiny and criticism week 1 after their week 1 performance, but they turned it around, and now they're doing amazing compared to that. But now we're talking about week 7, so a little different there. So we'll see. This will make and break a lot of teams. You know.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think I don't know. It's not, if I was in charge of a team, it's not when I would be making roster changes, even if there were some culture issues or some playstyle issues. I would just I would work on my team, and I would just figure it out. I don't think now is the appropriate time, but these teams are the professionals, so we'll see how it works out. One thing I do want to mention that I saw on Twitter, that's not there anymore because I tried to link it.
Oh, what do you got? What do you got? Give it to me.
TSM Zimstar sent a message to ShadowQ saying, hey, follow me for a direct message.
Oh, snap.
And there has been rumblings that Trex Tank has been underperforming. And there has been rumblings that spot might be something to look at for Team Solo Mid.
Wow.
ShadowQ just moved into a new place in America with actually a friend of mine. So I don't know how that will go as far as will you move. Like, there's a lot of, speculation. I don't think this means anything specifically, but it's definitely something fun to talk about.
Definitely something we can gossip about.
You also have to consider, too, they could...
Cupid's gone from SmiteCentral. Somebody's got to do it.
You also have to consider, though, TSM could just be, it could not just be replacement, it could be sub status as well. Like, the big thing is they could go ahead and be like, hey, we'd like to lock you in for XYZ tournament, we'd like to have you for the EU LAN tournament as our sub. Can we line you up for that? Can you dedicate yourself and commit to our team for that just to be safe? That could be all it is, or just as F-Data talked about, it could be swapping out an actual, current roster member as well. So a lot of things that could go that direction, but good to know. See?
Yeah.
All right. So that'll. Any last comments there on those 3 questions? Okay.
No.
So we're gonna jump into kind of our esports update here. Then we'll take a break, and when we come back, guys, we're gonna talk a little bit more about the patch. The things that are coming up, and take some more questions from you guys as well. So if you guys are also interested in getting involved in some community tournaments, please make sure you guys check out 2 websites, just as F-Data talked about earlier. SmiteCentral is one of them that does do weekly tournaments. We'll see if they have some change up there with some new operations direction they have now. We'll see what happens. And then also Tier Monster. Tier Monster as well has a lot of community tournaments that you guys should check out. There is enough tournaments now, I think, in the scene between SmiteCentral and Tier Monster that you can kind of find yourself your own little niche of competition almost every night of the week. So make sure you guys check out both of those sites. So jumping into the SPL, as I said before, this is our last week, not only for the SPL, but the Challengers Cup, which is huge. It's making the games that we saw this week even more hype and even more important for the upcoming week. I'll actually hand it over to usually I go through it, but I'll throw it over to F-Dot. What did we see SPL for our standings this week, with our games and everything going on?
All right, well, with the games that happened this week, the Pro League has actually seen a little bit of a shake-up in the standings, but not too much. North America sitting pretty cognitive red with their third loss. Only 3 losses.
2 actual losses.
Oh, you're one of those?
Mhm.
You're one of those?
She's a
I am.
fangirl. She's a
It was a
fangirl.
combat pause.
I'm sorry.
Combat loss.
A loss is a loss is a loss.
I
Exactly.
like dogs.
Well, so we do have the 2 Cognitive Sisters teams sitting number 1 and number 2 seed overall, 14-3 and 11-6 respectively. Team Dignitas lost out in the first week and then went on a 9-game winning streak recently, losing to Fat Chunks, if I'm not mistaken, to topple their winning streak. Smite, Fat Chunks, and Thirst make up the bottom. 1 and 15 are the cream of green, black, and white for Thirst. Unfortunate situation there. Really, the core of that team, you have Wolfie, you have Elbro Chacho, and Jacob Malfoy, who, specifically Wolfie and Jacob Malfoy, are fantastic players. They just don't have the right parts around them. Elbro Chacho isn't the most mechanically gifted individual in the world, but as a support, his communication is really on point, and that means a lot. Unfortunately, they haven't had players to circle around them, and by that I don't mean everybody sucks. By that I mean they have literally had 17 or so different players on that roster. As I tweeted out the other day, it's hard to practice. It's hard to be better when you don't have a team to practice with. They're cycling players in and out. Astro.
Yeah.
So much going on with Thirst. Unfortunately, it's been a problem since day one. And right now, Thirst is guaranteed to go to wild card. So they have to take a look at some of the teams coming out of the Challenger Cup. Most notably, Rambozo's, maybe Payne's team, Heater's team, Vicious and Delicious, etc. European is much closer than America. Exposed Secrets, Mortality, and Team Solo Mid all separated by about half a game. 11-5. 11-6 for Exposed Secrets and Mortality. Mortality playing 1 extra game with 1 extra loss. And Team Solo Mid, 10-7, so same games as Mortality, just 1 win swapped over to the loss column. The bottom side of the EU region looks like Cloud9, SK Gaming, and Team Coast. And while Team Coast, 4-13, is pretty much set to be a part of those wild cards.
Correct, yeah.
Cloud9 and SK Gaming, we talked about this earlier, both teams are in a very interesting predicament right now. Cloud9 just losing their solo laner NQ, but they have a sub, so we'll see how that works. Roster changes in the last week that these games really matter. And SK Gaming, who just has not been performing as well as they have in the beginning of the season, no roster changes there, but something's got to give. SK Gaming and Cloud9 right now are fighting to avoid the wild card.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to talk about between the NA and EU between this. So I'm gonna throw it to Smitten. You know, what did you get a chance to watch this week? Anything that surprised you? Anything that really came up between the games?
Okay, I actually got to see, I think, all, like, this entire week, except for Thursday, I believe. I don't remember which day it was. It's irrelevant.
Okay.
The one game that I was, like, super hype about was Cog Red versus Cog Prime. I was sitting there, I had my beer in hand, and I'm sitting here, like, super close to the monitor, just, like, watching. From the very beginning, I figured Cog Red, just like a lot of us assumed, Cog Red had that in the bag, just because they've been performing so strong lately. But Cog Prime came in, banned Thor, banned Raw.
Wow.
Ended up beating that was the biggest upset to me. I was so hyped for Cog Red, but it was pretty interesting.
And that's actually, you know, that game, you know, there is some conversation in chat regarding that game. And we're not going to be the drama queens here about it, but we can talk about it, you know, which this happens. You know, there's some people in chat. This is where rumors and speculation and people just come, you know, feeding that, you know, people saying that Cog Red went ahead and threw the game so Cog Prime could have that tally up on the board for placement. And kind of, you know, someone quoted David Fry's Twitter there kind of saying, you know, hey, if you got evidence, let me know. I will give my team hell. But, you know, if not, you know, why are we talking about it? So I guess, you know, Smitten, you had a chance to watch that game some. I did not. What was your, you know, you watching the game, was there any sign of this or was that completely just not correct?
I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right at all. It was how aggressive Cog Prime was being against, oh my gosh, don't hate me. Gars, against Gars in the jungle. He was playing Kali, one of the gods in the game that has to be fed early in order to be more effective and just a bulldozer in the late game. So I think that what really happened was Cog Prime shut Gars down enough. Like, I think it was Solo Lane didn't get a single blue that entire game. Like, they kept double hogging their blue, and that just completely shut down Solo as well as Jungle, like, feeding off that experience. That's what I think would happen.
Okay. What after did you have a chance to check out this game?
I actually have to watch the replay, but
Okay.
fantastic analysis from Smitten right there. Very, very astute conversation, because that is what happens with Kali, and that is a very real thing. I don't know the inner workings of these two teams.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that. What I do know is I know some of these players personally, and more than I know the players, I know David Fry personally. And this is not something that David Fry would organize. I can put my professional reputation and opinion on that. David Fry would not organize this, and David Fry would actually have a heavy hand if he found out that his teams were doing something like that. There is a questionable precedent being set. If it was a less reputable organization, maybe this would be a more interesting conversation.
That's a good point.
Should somebody be able to own two teams because of this exact situation? I don't know, and I would love to pose that question at a later point in time.
Yeah.
But for the moment, we can talk about the two cognitive sister teams, and like I said, I will put my professional reputation on the fact that that is not what happened, because I know the type of person that David Fry is and the type of culture that he wants to breed for his two teams. He's like, not only do I respect him and what he does for the scene, but he's a personal friend. And I'm speaking on that part right here. Personally, David wouldn't do that to his teams, his scene, his reputation.
There's too much at risk.
Yeah, there's far too much at risk, and
especially now, like
and not for nothing, Snoopy always wants to beat the hell out of Barracuda. They are not throwing that game.
Well, you gotta think of it though, like no one would risk that if you look at it, because if it was, because think of it, if it was true. Not even saying it is, but if it was true, both those teams would be disqualified, and all of a sudden you have two teams that are going to the NA regional, if not Worlds, and they could be completely disqualified, like completely out of all. So it's not worth it. So you know what I mean? Like
it's not worth. Like it's just.
Yeah.
It really isn't. There's too much on the line, and at the end of the day, one of the things that is important for the people in the scene to know is that David Fry isn't, Mr. Guy hidden behind the wall that heard esports was a good investment, so he decided to do. David Fry is a nerd.
He's an analyst for them.
Smite. He loves Smite. The reason he has a team is because he loves Smite. And when he was talking about picking up the Game Changers, which was what the team Cog Red previously was, we were talking, and he's like, it just pisses me off that nobody's sponsoring these kids. I want these kids to be able to play the game. I want the scene to grow. I might just do it myself. And that's what he did. That's the mentality behind him. He doesn't sit there going, wow, it'll be a I mean, I'm sure
it's a good investment, my dear.
Of course it's a business decision. I'm not saying he's, 100% the Smite philanthropist, but, in the same vein, he just wants to see good competition. So I can't in good conscience say that that's what happened here. This is a fantastic thought experiment, and at some point I want to have this conversation. But for our conversation purposes now, I don't think that COG is that team. But 10 points to chat for bringing that up. That's definitely a good conversation to have in the future.
So looking SPL this week, games that you got to catch, NA, EU, anything particular standing out to you that you want to talk about?
Chunks versus Thirst was amazing. It really was. And that's not... I made a lot of jokes on Twitter, because I make a lot of jokes on Twitter. It's kind of like what my existence is.
It's his thing.
I mean, Thirst is 1 in 15. That writes itself. There's a lot of funny right there. But on a serious note, two things happened. One of Thirst's major problems is the fact that Fusion OP isn't quite OP. Fusion OP hasn't practiced in a long time. He doesn't like to buy hog on solo lane. Teams take advantage of that. They invade the blue buff all the time and he rip that lane. When members of the team ask him to shape up, he instead shipped out, and they got Osmos, which is a big upgrade. And so Osmos played, and we got to see Fat Chunks and Thirst have a quality game, and I was excited. Unfortunately, Fat Chunks did win. I think I could objectively say, unfortunately, Thirst lost another game. I would love to see them win. I think everyone wants to see them win.
I
everybody
agree.
wants to see the underdog win.
Yep.
And also somebody as cool as Wolfie, and not just, you know, I know Wolfie's a personal friend of mine, so I won't harp on that too much, but the ability to keep a level head while being 1-15 and being all good with everything is respectable. So I really enjoyed that match. It wasn't a good match in the sense of watching two high school basketball teams that don't know how to pass the ball, so it's just trash. They were actually two evenly matched teams that, what I really liked about this performance, folks, is that when you watch a team like Thirst, who's not a team and they don't get time to practice because they don't have schedules that match up, or regular players or players at all some weeks, go against the well-oiled machine of Team Dignitas, Cognitive Red, etc., it looks like a bloodbath. And people sit there and go, wow, what's going on here? You saw Fat Chunks and Thirst play. A lot of evenly matched stuff go on, and it was an exciting match. And I think it showed a lot of people in chat that, all right, Thirst and Fat Chunks belong in the SPL. This is some professional level stuff, and it was exciting to see. So I was a huge fan of that game.
I'm eager to see Thirst having the possibility to go to the wild card and come out on top in wild card and then actually move on from there. That would be kind of a cool story to be able to follow along. You know, didn't do well in the SPL, went to wild card, did phenomenal, you know, moves on from there. You know, that would be kind of cool, to be honest with you, to be able to see that opportunity, you know, to see them there. Yeah, I mean, definitely some cool games. I did not get a chance this week to watch as much NA as I would have wanted to. I watch a lot more EU just because of my role with Mortality, but some things to talk about there. We did see SK go ahead and pick up a win in a week that was super important, for having that under their belt. We talked about how SK and Cloud9 are neck and neck right now for that 4th seed position available after week 7. And, my understanding was there was a disqualification with Team Solo Mid, which defaulted to SK, which was awesome for them because, of where these teams are at right now, Team Solo Mid has been looking quite a bit better than SK. And so, this was a free win for them, and it worked out well. It had something to do, I don't know all the specifics, but something to do with timing and not having a team prepared on time for the event type of deal. I don't know all the details, but either way, that was a huge win for SK. It was a free win for them when it was, very, very needed. SK Gaming 7-10, Cloud9 is now 7-9, so very, very close neck and neck. So that was kind of cool. I have to give shout outs to Mortality, though, for their game against Exposed Secrets, doing very well versus them, and then coming and bouncing back and going against Cloud9 and going something absurd like it was at one point it was 10-0, and then I don't know the ending number. I think it was like 16-1 by the time a surrender occurred. It was like the 18-minute mark surrender. And I'm being completely non-biased here, guys. I hope you guys know, like, that's a phenomenal game when you're week 7 in the SPL and have a team.
They were on point.
Yeah, and that was really cool because as F-Dot had talked about, and as we have been talking about as a group here, Mortality started out super strong in the SPL, kind of got in a rut, and fell several places from the top. And now we're starting to look pretty good, and this is the time to do it. At the end of the SPL, secure your seed and move in to then the LAN event. Some pretty cool games coming out this week within EU. Was there any other games that you guys saw from the EU that you guys want to talk about?
What was TSM played today? I think, was it against SK?
I didn't get to see the games today, but
yes.
Please.
Or no, wasn't it? No, it was versus Team Coast. Team Coast today.
TSM played so well. I don't know. Are you sure it was Team Coast? I think I remember.
I'm looking on a schedule, yet it may not be 100% correct. So I do apologize. It's I'll link it in our chat here just to that's what I'm using to base.
This is what happens when I don't watch the Pro League games.
See,
we get Tweedledum and Tweedledee over here.
Oh my word! Yeah, see, chat saying Coast too.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Oh, you're just arguing over who played. You're really there. It was Coast Team Solo Mid and Exposed Secrets.
Hey, why don't you listen, okay? And then we wouldn't have to have an afterthought, okay?
TSM played really, really well today. Like, we had seen them over the past couple of weeks be kind of shaky, kind of falling down in their glory, but they played really, really well today. I think it's because they gave Trix Geb.
Yeah, about that.
Trix on Geb is unreal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Did he play well?
He did. He played really well. Like, the whole team played really well. Of course, Lobster, I believe, got Agni, And yeah, that might have also helped out just a little bit.
I mean,
but,
I don't know. I'm a lobster fan. You could give that dude like Anubis, and I'm sure he'd be fine. But
they gave
I'm
him
excited-
Agni.
Yeah, I'm excited that Trix played well because he hasn't been, and that's a big deal for Team Solo Mid. Trix was a big part of the team back in the Warrior meta and has a hard time adjusting. Plays that Geb really, 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 really well, not just because he's Geb, but because he knows how to play the character. So that's exciting to me. I can't wait to go watch that one.
Really good.
So anything else for the European scene before we jump into next week's schedule and then also talk about the Challengers Cup? All right, so let's talk a little bit more then about our schedule coming up here. If you guys are interested in checking out that schedule, you can go to esports.smitegame.com, go up to Pro League and down to schedule. And you can go all the way to the bottom here as we are moving into our last week coming up. And you can go ahead and see, let's see here. So on Wednesday, Team Coast versus Cloud9. Also Team Solo Mid versus Mortality. That Team Coast versus Cloud9 is gonna mean a little bit more for Cloud9 than Team Coast at this point, needing to secure the win there. Mortality versus Team Solo Mid is definitely one of those seed matches. Important match to check out and watch there. And then we have Snipe versus Team Dignitas, Cognitive Prime versus Fat Chunks Assemble. This is all on Wednesday, folks. Thursday, SK Gaming versus Mortality, Team Solo Mid versus Exposed Secrets. So that's good. Another one there. Cog Red versus Fat Chunks Assemble, and then Cognitive Prime versus Thirst. And I won't go through all of them here, as there's quite a bit more here, but the entire schedule is available over there. Esports.smitegame.com. Some exciting stuff coming up here. And I'll throw it back over to F. So how did the Challengers Cup look this week, and what do we got for standings?
Challengers Cup looked pretty fantastic, honestly. As always, we have Europe going the way that Europe goes. Agilitas over Potato Boys. So I actually had a problem with this, a really big problem with this, and I'm going to harangue about that in a minute.
Okay.
Let's just go over North America since that's nice. And
Go
quick.
for it.
As the Challenger Cup currently stands, North America's the more contentious place. Rambozos, Vicious and Delicious, Five Angry Men are the top 3 teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Top 2 teams are what matters. Seed points don't, or seeds 1 and 2 don't actually matter. It's just a matter of are you seed 1 and are you seed 2. So that's what we have to see, right? Rambozo's sitting pretty at 370 points. That is a very practiced team. The former Digaduro is on that team, along with a number of other quality players. Yeah, the roster for so I get that a lot of you don't watch the Challenger Cup, and as the runner of the Challenger Cup and caster of the Challenger Cup, that saddens me deeply. And I'm always here being the guy like, no, come watch the Challenger Cup, please.
Keep doing it, dude. Keep doing it.
These last 2 weeks are really important, and not only do we see fantastic games, it's not only stomps, but these games will have SPL impact. We saw a lot more viewers today than we normally do, and I like to think that that's because people are understanding how integral these games will actually matter.
Yeah.
These players will play against SPL teams. SPL teams will play against these teams to see who switches spots. We might see a team from the Challengers Cup go to Worlds. It's the dream,
which is
but
awesome.
It's possible. So come check this team out. Week 7 is next weekend. Come check these teams out for the last time before you get to see them play against the pros, so that when it's time to discuss, you can actually sound a little bit more educated than your friends that maybe weren't watching. So you've got the Rambozos, which are the number 1 seed overall by a long shot, which is Aduro, previously mid sub for Dig. Good player, plays a lot of team fight oriented mages. Meerkat, who's a solo lane player, been playing forever, pretty good. The Paradox used to be the really obvious weak link in this team. Now has really stepped up to the task and is a good hunter, a la Allied. He does well in lane, doesn't always win the lane, but will do well in team fights. Fantastic stuff. And then you got Grishank, who's mad good, period. Chris Pocket, decent support, cool stuff coming out of him. Clow9, otherwise known as Five Angry Men, put together by Clow, obviously, twitter.com/Clow with 6 W's, whatever. Try to decipher what that kid has to say. That's the best and Mace of the Faces team, which honestly have made the finals once. No,
Wow,
twice
okay.
they've made it to the finals, and both weeks. So the first week they won. They had Pain to Beyond on the team. They were
that's right.
disqualified because
Yeah,
Pain
that's
wasn't
right.
allowed to play. Rip them, didn't win. A team with Mace to the Face, previous of Denial Esports. Shouts to our Canadian in chat right now, and
Which one?
and the best, Jeff Hinla, and the best, previous of Team Dignitas, two very powerful professional players that you would expect to just sweep the tournament, didn't win. Sometimes there were a couple of weeks where they got knocked out before semis.
Wow.
So there's
Well,
a lot of competition.
That harks back to what we were talking about earlier about how it's not individual star players on a team. It's about
Yeah.
the psychology. It's about the team fitting well together. It's about them. It's a team game. Something that we preach all the time. But I mean, this is even more of an example.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, they do have some good. Homofay and Bugsy are two, high-level ranked players. Homofay is a Masters player, so there's that. They're talented players, but just not able to do it. The Pain to Beyond played last week. They wound up winning. Then he got drafted to a pro team, Snipe. So see you later, as my friend Josh likes to say. See you later. And that's that. So not Cloud9. 5 Angry Men are sitting number 3. Well, Vicious and Delicious, if you guys remember back in the day, Exertus Esports turned into Cognitive Prime. That's where Barracuda was found on a little team called Vicious and Delicious. The team is back. It's Heater's brand. Heater is a longtime Smite player. They are a good team.
Heater, bro?
Do you remember?
Yep.
I'm gonna interrupt you here. Do you
Heater is
remember?
pro. Yep.
Do you remember when Vicious and Delicious first came out and they came into the scene and dominated, ridiculous domination, and they came out of nowhere. I mean, we understand now why they were picked up because it was unbelievable, but just something to remember. Please continue.
Yeah. Something huge to remember. It is a different team.
Yes.
But as I said, Heater is the owner of that brand, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, Heater, Heater is pro. Smitten got a little fangirly for a second.
Sorry. I was just making sure that's who.
Yep, same.
Somebody said Heater. I was like, I think that I played pre-mades against him once.
Yeah, you probably did.
Yeah.
Heater, Wubba, also known as Met Yankee.
Met Yankee?
Ecliptium, yep. Ecliptium, long-time player.
Yeah,
that
he's
has
been
made
around for a
team
while.
After team after team. Now, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, I feel like is a strong thing for Ecliptium. He's put up
Good way to
together
put
a
it.
lot of teams and just hasn't seen the success that the rest of his teams have. Off the team, who previously known as Kabam, who is honestly insane. I spend a lot of time talking about the Challenger Cup, obviously, and when I talk about it a lot of time, I want to talk about Europe, specifically Confrey and Pretty Prime. Kabam is the guy in North America. Watch this dude. He has professional level everything. He's incredible, and he's not the reason V&D do well, but he's a very big part of the success of this team. We'll see if they could beat the American teams, but Kabam is something big, and if his team doesn't make it into the SPL, if there's a spot on a North American team, don't be surprised if you see off the team. That was not a planned segue, and I actually feel less of a man for doing that. They have a Hunter Janin who came out of nowhere who's pretty good as well. But basically, seed points in North America are very close. Next week is going to be extremely important. It's not decided yet who's going to play in the wild cards. It's not decided yet who's going to play against the North American bottom 2 seeds, which are most likely going to be Thirst and Fat Chunk. So if you want to see how these teams match up against those bottom 2 teams, Thirst and Fat Chunks, come watch the Challenger Cup next weekend. It's going to be dope, and it's a lot of cool stuff. But
what do we got? Europe.
Okay.
What do you got? What do you got, Smitten? You got something else?
I was just gonna say, can I make an observation? I don't think I've been on this show yet without one of you guys saying segue.
Yeah, I mean.
Last week it was Octane.
Oh, that's right. You guys had to make fun of me. Yeah. Transition, segue. All
right. So what about that EU Challenger Cup? What's the scoop here? What's the dish?
Look at her throw you. Okay, go for it.
So. EU. I love my EU Challenger Cup. It's a lot of fun. It's a smaller tournament. We only see about 20 teams, 25 teams really join up in comparison to North America, where we see tons of teams each week. Yeah, I'm making fun of EU. Show up and make a team, kids. But So we see a smaller tournament. Chat is very inclusive. All of we see the members of Agilitas, we see the members of Potato Boys, Disco Ninjas, Heroes and Zeros, Woot and Croco hanging out in chat when they're not playing, because that's against the rules. Just putting that out there. It happens, and I will disqualify you. I have the power, so peace. But a lot of these guys are really cool. The community for this Challenger Cup is awesome. It's awesome to see how these people work together. I love the Potato Boys, SunTouch, Proxy QQ, Durgius. These are what I consider personal friends of mine.
Yeah.
Adapting, you know, these are cool guys, cool stuff. I like the team. Agilitas as well. Everybody, it's cool. Finals this week. Agilitas won game 1 in about 16 minutes. It was dominant. It was fantastic.
Was it a surrender or actually like won the game straight up?
I actually do not recall.
Okay, that's why I was just wondering, because that's really quick, you know, 16 minutes. That's.
So I solo casted today. It's been a long weekend, folks.
And you don't recall? Oh my word.
I solo casted and I had to call up Mortality's own iRaffer. So, you know, there was a lot of that. But
he rolls up his sleeves. All right, keep going. Keep going.
Agilitas played game 1, lights out. Did very, very, very well. They won to a surrender in about the 16th minute, and it was a okay surrender. I was okay with that. Very early to surrender, but in a best of 3, you're behind a lot. I forget exactly how far Agilitas was ahead, but I was okay with it.
Yeah.
I wasn't too upset. Game 2. Game 2, Potato Boys came out to play. They didn't do well. Everyone died at least once. Guess how long the game was?
How long? 44 minutes.
8 minutes.
8?
What?
8 minutes.
Yeah, this is why you should watch the Challengers Cup, apparently, because I missed out on it. And apparently, yeah.
How do you 8 minutes?
Well, so how in custom games you can surrender whenever you want.
Yes.
So that's the literal how, but I'm sure Smitten knew that. She was asking, like, how do you surrender in 8 minutes?
Right, like, what happened in that game?
Because that's what me and Raffer said during the broadcast. My job is to speak, and I had no words.
That's like, just as Chad is saying, new record for the competitive scene. 8 minutes.
Yeah, 8 minutes, and I just, well, there was that competitive joust game that DM Brandon lost in about 30 seconds, right?
Oh, yep, that was
just reminding everybody that happened.
That was. I remember that because that was me and Fats casting that 3 versus 3, and both of us go, what? Because it was a team collapsed once. A few seconds later, team collapse again, and that was from Cog. Barracuda was on their team, and then surrender, and we're like, that was. I think it was like 32 seconds max.
Yeah, it was intense, but so I take a lot of issue with this, and I know there's members of Potato Boys in chat, and I love you guys, but I'm not happy with the situation. Like I said, everybody died at least once. Some people died twice. 8 minute surrender though, like it's rough. Raffer said it. Raffer said it himself, both on the broadcast and off. You know, he said, look, this is unprofessional. This is not how you're going to succeed in the SPL. You're the 2nd seed overall. You know, Agilitas and Potato Boys are, if not mathematically, theoretically a lock to make it to, what's it called? Wild cards. Okay. That's set. But, and to Agilitas's credit, they came out to play. I have nothing poor to say about Agilitas this week. They came out to play. They got all their best picks. They played fantastically. It was cool. But Potato Boys just, and I'm not knocking their play. I'm not going to say they weren't taking it seriously. I'm not in their comms. I have no insight into that, and I don't even want to hint at that. I'm knocking it out right away. That's not what I'm saying here. What I don't like is the 8 minute surrender. You are a professional team. Does this game mean anything? Maybe not. Maybe it doesn't. There's some money involved that will get more if you get first place, but for seed points, it doesn't really matter much. But this game matters for you practice. There's a big difference between scrims and tournaments. This game matters for your personal practice with the type of opponent you have. Agilitas is a mid-range SPL team. They are. Let me say that again. They're a mid-range SPL team. They have the talent of a mid-range SPL team.
They also have a lot of veterans too, though, on their team. Like it's not like a lot of these guys were at the launch tournament.
Yep, very, very, very true. Pretty Prime is considered one of the best Vulcans in the game, and dude is in the Challengers Cup. People regularly talk about his name.
Yeah.
You know, Godfrey, he's a streamer on Smite Game 2, plays a fantastic solo laner. This team is fantastic. They play it. They come out to play each week. They have they're a great team. I like to see them. I have a lot to say similar to the Potato Boys, except for this week. You surrendered in 8 minutes. It's not professional. It hurts you as a team.
Yeah.
Because you don't get the practice playing a tournament atmosphere. You don't get the practice playing against Agilitas. Sure, you might get to scrim them. I don't know if you do, or I don't know if the team does, but it's one of those things where you want to take every bit of practice you can. You're going into wild cards. You're going to be playing professional teams. Even if it's Coast, who's 4-13 right now, that's still a pro team that did very well at LAN before. And the other team, whether it's Cloud9 or SK Gaming, that is going to be a tough team for whoever winds up in the wild cards. 8 minutes, you're denying yourself of practice. You're denying the audience of seeing a good show, good finals. We got 20 minutes total of finals. That's problematic.
Yeah.
The people that come out to watch the games, the people that come out to put on the games, it was not a fantastic light to see a fantastic team be shined with this week. Potato Boys have a lot to offer. Especially because of what we saw last week. Potato Boys performed for the first 5 weeks all right. They did a lot better than the rest of the tournament, and then when it came to Agilitas routinely overperformed and outplayed them because there was a lot of stuff going on. Proxy was moving. Dirgius worked a hard job. Weren't really able to practice. Last week, they got a chance to practice, and we saw some of the most exciting Challenger Cup action in the entirety of the 6-week play period. Potato Boys came out to play. They are usually very, like I said, this team doesn't troll, but they have a lot of fun with their games. They pick Shibalanki solo and stuff like that because do it, and it's fun to watch. But last week was not that week. They came to play. They had scrims under their belt, and it was one of the most exciting performances in Challenger Cup in the 6 weeks that we've been running the Challenger Cup. This week they surrendered into 8 minutes. I don't understand, and I don't think it was right. I wish we had a chance to redo it, but it is what it is. And it's just really unfortunate for everyone involved that that's how it went down. So hopefully next week, the final week of the Challenger Cup, we actually do get quality finals and we can see stuff like that. So I'm really rooting for that because I love this team. I love the people on the team, and I love the play of the team Potato Boys, but this week just was not a good look.
Yeah, I mean, just as F. had said, like, this upcoming week is not only huge for the SPL, but I think it's even bigger, and there's even a bigger story behind the Challengers Cup right now for these guys, you know, kind of playing as the ultimate underdogs, you know, coming out, not part of an organization, you know, type of deal. So this is pretty exciting to say the least. F. For some people that aren't familiar, where can people check out this Challengers Cup, and when does it start to air this week?
Oh, of course. As we said, week 7 is the final week of Challenger Cup. It'll be this Saturday. North America will start at 1 p.m. over on Smite Game 2, and finals and semifinals will most likely move over to Smite Game 1. But that broadcast does begin Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that'll make it about 6 o'clock for you UK viewers at home. And over on Sunday, the broadcast goes live at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 11 in the morning for you UK folks, so make sure to check that out. Yeah, I mean, it's all about the grind. It's love of the game. We wake up and we cast, and we hold no complaints. It's as I said, it's really unfortunate that this is the conversation I have to have about the Challenger Cup scene because it's fantastic show, it's fantastic talent, and you know I see a lot of people in chat talking about Agilitas, like Proxy himself, who plays for Potato Boys, like, dude, Agilitas is gonna stomp the SPLs next season. I don't know how quick that'll happen. Yeah. Mainly because the SPL talent is a lot different than the Challenger Cup talent. I do know that Agilitas scrims against teams like Mortality, etc.
That's great.
So there's that. But expect big things. Come watch the Challenger this weekend to see these guys before they're big, so you can be hipster and say like, I like country before he was big. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm excited. And here's my personal plea. I don't like to talk to the teams. I like to speak about them and of them. I'm speaking to Potato Boys. Okay. Please come out and play next week because last week was the most exciting spot in the Challenger Cup. And I know that Agilitas must have loved it playing against you guys. As a caster, I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's a lot more fun casting that than an 8-minute surrender.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The crowd is going to be huge next week. Everybody understands that this is the last week of the Challenger Cup. Today we hit about 4,000 viewers over on
That's
Smite
awesome.
Game. That's a big deal. It's a 10 in
Good
the
for
morning
you.
broadcast.
Yeah.
It's a 10 in the morning broadcast. We had 4,000 viewers. We're going to see more next week. Put on a great show for the folks at home. Put on a great show for Agilitas. Put on a great show for production, myself, my co-caster. More importantly, put on a great show for yourselves. You guys are a fantastic team. You have the talent, and I want to see it. People want to see that. People want to see the real stuff come out. I want to see Proxy farm up and murder people in that soul lane. I want to see Suntouch launch those ROM ultimates. I want to see Dirgius die on Kumbhakarna and then come back to life. That's what I want to see. It's a great team. It's fun to watch, and you guys have a cool play style. Please let us see it.
Can you guys tell F.Dot's a little passionate about the Challengers Cup? Can you tell? Just a little bit. So before we go ahead and jump into like what's next for Smite Esports, you know, we're talking a lot about Challengers Cup coming to an end. We're talking a lot about SPL coming to an end. Something else I want to point out, which is actually going on right now. We don't really have a lot of detail about it, but it looks like the regionals for Brazil is going on right now, hosted by Level Up, which is great to see because the NAEU scene has a very big disconnect with not only information, but also the opportunity to view this competition with Brazil, Latin America, and the Chinese scene. So pretty cool to see that is going on right now, which is pretty exciting. You know, I got a chance to check that out before the show a little bit. So make sure you guys check it out. It's twitch.tv/SmiteLU is where that's going on right now. Don't know all the details. Don't know the teams. I do apologize. Moving on from there, kind of what's next? You know, what are we going to see over the next few weeks? So I'll put a link in chat. This came out from Hi-Rez months and months and months ago as to the format of this entire season, we'll call it, leading up. So we're kind of going to go over it a little bit so that people can help to understand it.
There's so many arrows!
I know.
Right?
So
There's so many
That's
arrows!
on the flame chart. That's just a basket full of arrows. That's what that is.
So if you guys go ahead and bring that link up, I'll post it again once again in chat here. What to look at. So right now we're kind of that second tier down where we have the Challengers Cup going on right now, and you can see right on that image if we go ahead and bring that up. Challengers Cup and SPL run simultaneously the same time, 7 weeks, and will end exactly at the same time. Challengers Cup will end, and the top 2 teams from NA will then move down to the NA wildcard. The same thing occurs on the EU side. Looking at the SPL on that list, you can see there the Smite Pro League. The top 4 teams jump over the wild card and go to the regional championship. Now the bottom 2 teams from the Pro League of NA and EU, they move on to their respectable wild cards. So all said and done, Challengers Cup top 2 teams move on to wild card. Pro League bottom 2 teams face off against each other. So that's what's going to happen in the next few weeks here. And it has to happen in the next few weeks because you then in November have our regional championship. And this is where we were talking a lot about the teams that are locked in. They're concrete standings. Doesn't matter what happens next week except for seed points. So when you look at the Pro League for NA and you look at the Pro League for EU, where it says top 4 teams and it bypasses the wild card, those happen in November. And those will actually be LAN events, whereas the wild cards will not be. LAN events going on in Atlanta in November, and also LAN events going on in Cologne, Germany in November for NA and for EU. Now,
That's 4 weeks away.
Yeah, now it's 4 weeks, and you have a
That's
wild card
insane.
tournament to prep for. Now looking at that further, let's say the wild card finishes. Okay, the top 2 teams from the NA and the EU from that wild card tournament now go ahead, and this is exactly what we talked about, where there could be a chance where teams from the Challengers Cup move on to regionals to play against like the top SPL teams.
All right. Can I boil this down real quick?
Boil it down even more. Go for it.
All right. So the 6 teams from the Pro League, they competed over this past 7-week season. That's what this was. They're going to a regional, which will determine which 2 teams go to Worlds.
Yeah.
The asterisk being the bottom 2 teams might be able to be knocked out by the top 2 teams of the Challenger Cup. So essentially what happens is the 6 teams from the Pro League will be fighting over to see who are the 2 teams most eligible and the best teams in their region to go to Worlds. And in that transition, before those 6 teams go off, 2 teams from the Challenger Cup will have a chance to actually be in that running. Yeah. So the top 2 teams from the Challengers Cup, Potato Boys and Agilitas for Europe, and as it stands right now, all we have is number one seed overall. The Rambozos and Vicious and Delicious and 5 a.m. will choose. But so 2 teams from the Challenger Cup will have a chance to go to regional championship, which means they will have a chance to go to Worlds. So we might see Agilitas at LAN in January.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. And frankly, after watching SPL every single day and casting a Challenger Cup, I don't think that's far-fetched.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's a lot of ifs, a lot of things to be determined right now. October is going to be a crazy month, to be honest with you. We're going to see the SPL finish. We're going to see the wildcard championships occur. And then after October, I think there's going to be a ton of hype, even more hype around the Smite esports scene, all leading up to that NA and EU regional. Like, that's when it's going to be crazy to watch because, there's only 2 spots left. There's only 2 spots to go to Worlds within NA, and same thing with EU. So, all these teams that we followed, all these teams that we've loved, we've talked about week in and week out, we've seen go through the challengers, we've seen go through, SPL. It's going to come to the end. And so it's pretty exciting. And that'll be in January if you guys are not familiar. Between the 9th and the 11th, the SWC will be going on. And I believe all 3 of us will be there. And it's going to be pretty exciting, to say the least.
There's tickets on sale for the regionals, right?
Yes.
EU's actually sold out already, completely. And there was a post, I think it was by Hi-Rez Stew, not too long, this past week. That was EU's already sold out. NA, step it up. So that's pretty exciting to see. We're 2 months out and that stuff is already sold out without even knowing what teams exactly will be there quite yet. So it's pretty exciting to say the least. So outside of that, I think that'll kind of wrap up our talk here about esports, unless you guys have anything else to add to it.
No.
Does anybody else feel just on edge, sitting here talking about these are the final weeks before the wild card, and it's just ugh.
Yep. I mean,
I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm not even playing.
One of the things that kills me before we move on is Smite is a family. Smite is a very big community. We play to win. We play hard, but launch tournament, everybody was just chilling, hanging out, being friends. We had 6 teams. We had 6 teams from each region, if I'm not mistaken, or 4 teams from each region. We had 4 teams from each region. It was huge. A lot of people there. This time around, we're only going to have 2 teams from each region. It's 2 North American teams. We're not going to be able to see Cog Red, Dignitas, Snipe, all there playing. I'm sure we'll see some people. I'm sure we'll see people just come out and hang out, but we're not going to be able to see all of their teams there like we did last time. We're not going to be able to see SK, Cloud9, Team Solo. We're not going to be able to see all of these teams. So this is real drama. There will be real fans really upset that their team isn't playing in the Worlds. This is going to be exciting because
to prepare yourself.
People are going to go home upset, and that's cool with me. I love my friends, and I like to see them at Worlds, but the drama is what makes the sport. So
if you guys remember the launch tournament, it was very much, I'll be honest, the teams, we got a chance to see kind of behind the scenes. The teams were very buddy-buddy type of style. And now, moving ahead, we're now a year away. The prize pool is so much more than what it was. We're talking some
Almost
big...
$1 million.
We're talking some big cash here for people that win it. And on top of that, you think of it, you only got 2 teams NA, 2 teams or EU that will be there. Outside of that, then, you might have some camaraderie there between NA and EU because a lot of these guys are veteran players, have had a chance to play with each other in the past. But outside of that, then you're going to have your teams from Latin America, teams from Brazil, teams from China. So, I feel like it's going to have more of that.
New friends.
The competition, is going to be even stronger. Then it's gonna. I feel like the Smite esports aspect is going to be taken more serious. Not to say it wasn't serious in the past, but I'm just
But we're about to breach the 1 million prize pool mark.
We're crossing that line into professional or traditional professional sports where it is, hey, we don't, we have our separate rooms before our event. I don't know. F-Dot, do you know what I'm feeling here? You know what I'm saying? Where we're at right now?
I don't agree with it. I do know what you're saying. I don't agree with it.
Okay. Take the other angle.
Because there, as much as we are a competitive game, we are also a community. And I think that's very important to the identity of Smite. At the end of the day, was that man hanging out with me, a caster, Barracuda, a guy on COG, DJ Pernicus, an analyst, and Lionheart, a guy that works at the studio? Yeah, we're all hanging out. Before the match, are we talking strategy? Not at all.
Yeah.
Cognitive hid in their room and did their thing.
Yeah.
Dignitas watched replay after replay after replay. SK Gaming, dialed in. When it comes time to hang out, we're all going to hang out. And I think
Sure.
that's a really important part of Smite. And as the resident esports play to win, if there's a disconnect, kill him type of guy, I think the community aspect of our game is very important.
Okay. Without a doubt. So, on that note, any last comments on esports? All right, great. Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break here. When we do get back, we are going to talk about this past patch. I know Smitten's been waiting to talk about it, how she feels, the things that she's noticed over the past week. And then we're also going to take some live questions after we talk about the patch with you guys. So stay tuned, folks. We'll be back here in just a few minutes. Don't go far.
Mm-hmm.
I was lost, but baby, now it's slowing down. I try to sink in the sound, the secret place that I found, my voice in you. I looked all over your face to find the reason it makes me feel so damn new. Our hearts forever glowing. There's something in your motion I never saw with you. I swear to fly with you. You're like a new creation. Now there's no hesitation. There's nothing I can do. I swear to fly with you. Your lips, they used to haunt me, but now you want me, and I'm floating off the ground. You took the fears that I made up, and now I'm not afraid of falling down. My arms wait for your call. I run to tear down your walls, and I break through. I'll burn the bridges I crossed to the secret place that I lost my heart in you. Our hearts forever glowing. There's something in your motion I never saw with you. I swear to fly with you. You're like a new creation. Now there's no hesitation. There's nothing I can do. I swear to fly with you. Oh, I'm crashing to you, and I'm better being broken.
All right, folks, we are back. Thank you very much for hanging in there with us after our break. And we're going to go ahead and jump into it here, talk a little bit about the patch that we had a chance to enjoy this past week. So, last week we went through the patch, kind of detail for detail is what we do depending on the timing. Now we've had a chance to enjoy it. So I'll throw it over to Smitten, kind of, let's talk a little bit about Sylvanas. What did you experience this past week? Thoughts, dislikes? Throw it out there.
All right, Sylvanas. I have a feeling Sylvanas is going to be top 3 Guardians over the next coming weeks.
That is a big statement. That's a big statement.
It is a big statement, but it's one that I'm willing to stand by.
Okay.
Just by seeing how he performs in game. My favorite combo so far with Sylvanas is Cupid. Like, the thing about Sylvanas is that his 2 really helps out with wave clear. So gods that you don't see played very often, like Cupid, Shivalanke, not AMC because AMC is the worst.
Yeah.
But gods like that have like really poor wave clear and stuff like that in the early stages. Him being a new guardian, it lets them kind of come back into the fold a little bit. And the best lane comp that I found so far with Sylvanas is Sylvanas and Cupid. Infinite sustain because Cupid has hearts and Sylvanas' 2 obviously does a lot of healing, and infinite mana as Sylvanas' 1 sprouts MP5.
Yeah,
and,
which is awesome.
If somebody picks up Cupid's hearts, it gives him back mana. So it's just, you can stay in lane forever and dominate. That's definitely by far my favorite lane comp. But the one huge setback, and it's kind of a big thing, it's an easy fix, but it's something to definitely keep in mind, is Sylvanas kind of lacks mobility. Athena, as we know, she has that global ultimate. She has a global presence. She has a charge. She can get in. She can get out. Get has his rollout. Not so much a global ultimate, but that's not necessary on him. Has his rollout. If you get blink, then it really helps you set up or secure objectives and stuff like that. And the same thing is it's kind of the same thing with Sylvanas. Sylvanas doesn't have that mobility. He doesn't have an ability that allows him to gain space quickly. So that's the only setback on him. Like I said, it's an easy fix. You can buy blink on him to help secure objectives and stuff like that, set up ganks, but it's kind of it's not a serious setback, but it's definitely one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll touch a little bit on my experience with Sylvanas, and I'll have F. Dot, weigh in on it. So I picked up Sylvanas, went ahead and played. Lane comp was myself and Rom, and I went ahead and looked through his abilities. Uh, you know, didn't level them correctly at first because I wasn't too sure about it. But then as time went on, I realized how strong his Wisp were. Such like that, like Wisp is such a key, ability around like his entire kit. Not only for your team, but also against the enemy there. And definitely something I found is extremely important when prioritizing with leveling. I really liked his flower, the growth there, the verdant growth, allowing for the MP5. I definitely saw it because as I started to play him over the first few levels, I was like, wow, I'm finding myself a little bit mana starved. Where can I make up for this? Is it within abilities or is it within items? And instead of putting into your items, you can, stack in other places and just gain that with that ability, getting back that MP5. So I really enjoy that. It was a really cool item, a little different mechanic than what we're used to within Smite, having that available. I found him, it was interesting because I found that people were either building him damage focused or more protection, traditional Guardian, built. And I found late game a lot of success building him more in that Guardian role. I definitely put him. He's very much after playing him, and I play Geb a lot. I found that Sylvanas is in that same category as Geb. As you're not initiating the team fights as much as like Athena or a Bacchus, you're almost playing. You're playing reactive. So as a team fight breaks out, as Geb, you're blinking in, popping your ultimate or popping your shield. Or with Sylvanas, you're jumping in, popping your wisps to heal up your enemies, popping your ultimate there as well to add that CC layer. So the mindset of a Guardian, two different sides of it. You have your reactive and proactive types of Guardians here that we're seeing. I like that we're seeing someone else like Geb. I agree with you, though, that Blink is a good pickup with him on his ultimate. He does lack that mobility where Geb has that mobility, but Geb does not have the heal structure that we have out of Sylvanas. Now, granted, you have the shield, which is a huge valuable item in Geb's kit. But either way, I like it a lot. I am not a professional player, so I can't give you the whole breakdown of how I will see this in the competitive scene. But I'm excited to look towards the wildcard tournament and see if Sylvanas is played or not, and if he is, how he's played. Because a lot of people were building him like hybrid, building into a few protective items and then building him damage focused or vice versa. So, F. Dot, what do you think about some of the stuff that myself and Smitten talked about and just your evaluation of Sylvanas?
One of my biggest. Go ahead.
Sorry, chat. It heals your teammates, not your enemies. It's all right. Calm down.
It's like old Zhonghui ult, if you were here when Zhonghui was first released. Deals damage to your enemies and heals your teammates.
Correct.
Sylvanas can create a very potent kill lane. I spoke to iRaffer today, and he thinks Sylvanas is very strong. In lane, it's with the pull and the stun that can set up either the pull or the escape coming out after the pull. Sylvanas can really bring a lot of kill in the lane. However, I kind of feel like he's a little easy ganked. And he has no damage when it comes time to do mid camps and stuff. So he can fight in an engagement over them with ultimate and help his teammates out, but he can't really do it himself like a Sobek with Tail Whip and Sickening Strike or something like. It's definitely going to need Hog to go ahead and get those mids by himself. So it's interesting. We'll have to see how it works out because he's easily ganked and there's low solo damage, but he is one of the more supportive supports around, and his lane kill potential is incredible.
What did you guys notice? A lot of people saying, you sacrifice mobility for sustain. When you guys were in a team fight or you were getting ganked, what did you find with Sylvanas for sustain? Because when I played him, I was amazed at how easily it is that you can stay alive with him.
It was, okay, Sylvanas coming in, that's one of the things about Sylvanas is he's not an initiator. He's a backup in an already happening team fight. He comes in and he turns the tides, quite literally. I've several times over this past week that I've been running 5-mans and stuff like that. I've seen him come into the fold right in the middle after people have died already. Comes in, heals everybody up, and just completely turns it on them. He's so strong. Like I said, he's more of a supportive in the midst of a fight rather than initiating a fight. You can with his pull, but I feel like he's better utilized the other way around. Whenever there's already something happening, he comes in to assist.
What do you guys? What are your thoughts on his third ability, which is that pull, which is almost coming right off of Arachne's old kit? Do you think it fits his kit very well? Where did you find that F dot? In your opinion, with having that ability.
The pull onto Sylvanas, I think it's fantastic. It really sets up, not only, like I said, you can set up the pull with the root, but I think the more advanced strategy is to pull and then root.
Okay.
And that goes towards the kill lane that I was talking a little bit about. You can set up a home base for your team with those MP5 sort of flowers, and then zone out with the wisps, and then invite an enemy to come join you in your living room. It's kind of fun, and it's a very exciting setup. The Arachne pull is something that I always wanted to see on a Guardian. Never a fan of Arachne in her previous iteration, and I always liked her played in the support role. Once upon a time, those eggs that she had would give vision. You'd be able to pull. It was fun, but it just wasn't effective. Now we see the pull on an actual Guardian. I really like it. So I want to see him be successful because there's a lot of kill and raw support coming out of this Guardian. But as I always said today and last week, he is very susceptible to ganks.
There's it's awkward though. His pull is awkward. It feels like there's this really, really long delay between cast time and actually it getting to the point where it pulls somebody. So that's why the stun into the pull it's more reliable. But it's awkward. It's awkward trying to land his pull.
I found that as well. Just playing it, I assumed the mechanic was extremely similar to Arachne, for example, and kind of played it that way. And the first few times I was like, why am I not hitting this? What is going on here? And then realizing, and I was like, what is it the distance? I'm not realizing it that maybe the marker is not accurate or what? You have a comment? What do you got?
It's absolutely it's not related, but I just got an update
Sure.
on the situation as far as esports is concerned. I'm talking to HiRez APC, the head of esports.
Breaking news.
One of the bigger heads. He runs the tournaments and stuff. So there will be the wild cards. Week 7 of the SPL and the Challenger Cup will be next week. The 2 following weeks will be the wild cards, and there are 2 weeks in between that. Nothing is planned just yet, but there are things on the pipeline. So we will have some competitive Smite for you. And as always, remember that HiRez APC is jacked and tan. That is from the horse's mouth.
You did say the wild card would be 2 weeks. Did you find out any information as to is it going to be pool play style? Is it going to be?
It's a round robin.
Round robin. Okay. Good to know. So very similar to SPL structure, but
exactly. So
much
seed
faster.
1 and seed 2 in the Challenger Cup doesn't matter. It's just are you seed 1 or seed 2 because you're going to play everybody.
Okay.
So that's a big deal, and the most important thing is that HiRez APC is jacked and tan.
Clearly.
I would question that. Anyways, let's go. Thank you for that update. It was good to know. And so jumping back to Sylvanas, we were kind of talking about his Nature's Grasp and how that related and was similar to Arachne's pool with her previous kit. And Smith made a good point that it seems like it combos very well with his first ability, Verdant Growth, and then popping this right away for the pool. So good to know. Good to know. I mean, some of these combos that are coming out. So Sylvanas, afterthoughts. Is he too strong? Is he not strong enough? Does he play the Guardian role appropriately? Is he going to see him solo lane because of his sustain? What do you guys think?
I haven't seen Sylvanas played in anything other than support since the PTS. PTS, I saw him demolish mid lane. I was Kukulkan. And I should be able to dominate that lane, or at least just not die because I just throw my tornado and then run back to tower, right? No, not with Sylvanas. Sylvanas kind of forced me to be a part of things, but I really like him in support more than any other role.
Yeah.
I think he came in not too strong and not too weak. It was interesting. He just kind of slipped into the game and was like, here I am.
Yeah, support is definitely going to be the preferred role, I think, but we'll see. Solo lane is definitely a big deal, especially with Telkine's ring on that unique basic attack. As I was talking earlier, Sylvanas will definitely succeed if you see him in a kill lane. and that'll be where that is the base of that is. If we see since we want to see him in a kill lane, we can extrapolate that and draw the conclusion that he could be successful in the solo lane if he runs his own kill lane built magical. I know it's something that DM Brandon's been working with, having a lot of fun with it. I think it's borderline viable. I think that we can see it with a little bit of work and a little bit of play style stuff, but not too. I'm not 100% on it, but I'm not gonna say that Sylvanas can only play in the support role. That said, you're not gonna see Sylvanas mid, jungle, or hunter anytime soon.
I think more, it's been interesting with the I've seen it more in the SPL, but there's been a lot of creativity coming out of solo lane over the last few weeks where, people have been trying things, we were talking about, we had Mercury in the solo lane doing very well up till some adjustments with this patch there, but there's been a lot of creative gods that have been played there. Jumping back to the launch tournament, we had Zelia, very well known for Ymir being played in the solo lane. So, now we're seeing Ymir jungle. So I think the jungle and solo lane, the meta is shifting day by day, I feel like, with some of the things that we're seeing. We're seeing, Isis being played in solo lane now.
Great at 80 carry.
Yeah, we Bakasurs, and now granted Bakasurs been around a little bit, but I think Sylvanas we might see pop up here and there, more in ranked right now. People kind of pushing it a little bit to see how we can make out with Sylvanas. I think he has the damage available to him and the sustain. I'm eager to see at a competitive level how it stacks up, though. So it should be pretty exciting. Any last comments on Sylvanas before we jump on to our next topic in the patch? Alrighty. So I haven't had a chance to, enjoy the matchmaking system as much, but, throw it over to you guys. Matchmaking kind of had a little twist thrown into it. There's been quite some changes done, and what are your thoughts on it? Where, time queues have disappeared. What do you think? What do you think? After you seem a little uncomfortable. What's going on?
So HiRez did say that it was going to get worse before it got better. Matchmaking isn't in this patch, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
It's not.
We're seeing the same old matchmaking. That said, a lot of pro players that stream ranked have felt that there is something going on with matchmaking because it's horrible right now. Wolfie was playing ranked last night and had a dude in placement in his matches. So there's still some issues with matchmaking.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's deployed in part and we just don't know that publicly, or if it's not deployed at all and it's just this is why we're fixing it. But Allied, Wolfie, some other streamers aren't too happy with the situation right now. Can't wait to see those matchmaking changes go forward. I'm very excited for it because when it comes to ranked, I think time queues need to go. I always talk about how ranked is different. When I play casual, I don't want bans in my casual matches. I want to be able to get into a game in a minute or two. I just want to sit down and play. I want to play my favorite god. I want to jump in, get Heartseeker, and feed my brains out. That's kind of what I want to do in the casual queue. When it comes to ranked, get in curse, try hard, get mad if you fail, get mad if somebody feeds and doesn't listen and has a poor attitude. That's all part of the game. If I got to wait for 15, 20 minutes for a game that's going to be my perfect matchmaking, then so be it, because that's what ranked's about. So I think that I'm very excited with matchmaking from the not competitive but the higher end of things, the ranked system. As far as casual, we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I mean, I can see what you're talking about. Those of you guys not familiar, there's been quite a big change that occurred, with this system. As they said, not all of it's going to go live once the patch hits. It's kind of going to be a trickle effect there as time goes on. I haven't had a chance to, with the league system to go through the placement match, series and stuff like that. So, Smitten, what did you find during your play this week?
Well, I didn't play any league this week.
Okay.
And the new matchmaking the new queue system hasn't really gone into effect, so same story, different day.
Okay, good to know. I think hopefully by our next week's show we'll be able to give a little bit more information, with us playing it, and hearing a little bit more from the scene regarding how it's worked out for new matchmaking, and also with the league system, as well as I don't know if we're going to, but if the timed queues are removed game-wide. We'll have to see. We haven't necessarily heard exactly when that's going to occur. You good?
Chat, my Lord 95. Cool viewer, by the way. I finally manned up and played my first ranked game yesterday. I played against Zapman. They have 6 at 12 minutes. I love you. I respect you so much, my lord. I'm not quite sure you're on Zapman's level. So, again, matchmaking, thank you for being fixed because it's just not working out.
We'll get there.
Yeah, right, for sure.
We're getting there.
So one of the changes that we saw this past patch here, and I was eager to ask FDOT about it, is the being able to pause. You know, they added in a feature which does not allow pausing during combat.
Right.
You know, and wanted to find out from you, from your insight, did you see any difference with pauses and or drama or problems or DQs during the Challengers Cup with this feature added in? Okay.
Not just yet. And as head of the Challenger Cup, this is something that I deal with on a weekly, everyday basis. Every week we have teams trying to disqualify the enemy team for some sort of combat pause. I'm like, dude, you're 50 miles away. He's like at the mall. He's not fighting you. That's not a combat pause, and the admins have to go in each and every time. Now we have this system where it literally won't pause if you're in combat. It just won't.
Which is awesome.
For that matter, we have a not quite black and white, but not quite gray rule, where if you can pause, it's a legal pause. If it's something obviously not working, like if you legally get the pause in the middle of a team fight, clearly we're not going to say, oh, well, the pause system works, so I'm not a combat pause. Like, we're not going to do that to you. But in general, pauses will be upheld because it's coded that way.
Yeah.
So
It's kind
unless,
of intuitive.
yeah, if there's an egregious problem, we'll go ahead and make an administrative decision, but it should be fine. So.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I'm happy to hear that. You know, I know that's always was a big deal. Most of the SPL I know and Challengers Cup and just, you know, I mean, we talked about it. We talked about it earlier with the Cog Red, you know, with a loss there that they took on. So, so I'm happy that's been settled. I know, you know, there was a lot of question regarding adding this feature in, but I'm happy with it, without a doubt. So moving on from there, new items. What'd you guys find? Did you try out any of these items? Did you play against anyone with these items? You know, what did you guys experience with the new items added in?
Ichiball looks very interesting. It's a cool early and mid-game type item. It doesn't scale with physical power. It's a static amount that you steal. So what Ichiball is interesting for, it's interesting for a hunter if you're behind about 3,000-4,000 gold and you want to make that difference up right now and go ahead and do that. At least that's what Kret was talking about. I agree, but I haven't really done any testing on my own, so I'm just sort of reiterating what popular analyst says. I like Ichiball, which is the correct pronunciation.
I'm glad you said it first, by the way.
It's Ichiball, and it's cool on chainsaw type characters, Kali and Osiris, but
It's cheap.
Yeah,
why
I mean,
do you name items things like this? It is ridiculous. Do you hate your casters, Hi-Rez Studios?
Ichiball.
I know.
He sounds so legit saying Ichiball.
Couldn't just be like, yeah, I mean, the icon, yeah, I don't know. I mean, my experience with it, I played on her, and I picked it up third. So I went Death's Toll, Demonic Gloves, and then into Ichiball. And I was eager to see how it would work out. As you said, it is cheaper, so it led to myself to having more gold at that point. You know, I had good success with it. You know, I can't really complain as to where, you know, where if I would swap it out or in. I didn't play enough games with it, but the game that I did play, I seemed to do rather well with it. So I'm actually pretty happy with the item. What about you, Smitten?
Okay, I've only done like what is the conquest practice mode?
Okay.
I've done that. I did a little playing around with like Shibawanki, like gods that had a really hard time clearing, like I said earlier, with these new items, and I couldn't actually give you an answer as to how well they perform because I'm going up against bots. I have yet to test it in an actual build though.
Okay. Okay.
So as soon as I do, I will let you know.
Okay. How about Heavy Hammer? You know, I can imagine that FDOT would have seen some changes a little bit here, possibly at the competitive level because of the price difference now, 1,100 to 1,350. Did you see it being picked up in any other order or all the same with it? Anything that you noticed, particularly with Heavy Hammer?
I actually didn't see it very much, unless it was like a second item, like maybe like if in solo lane if they're having a difficult time and they're dying a bunch, like you would see that picked up as a second item or something like that, but I didn't really see it prevalent like I did before.
What about you, F. Dot? Anything that you noticed with Heavy Hammer?
Heavy Hammer's interesting. Gods like Bakasura and gods that perform well with Heavy Hammer, you now have a choice. The problem with Heavy Hammer at 1100 was that you were able to pick up Heavy Hammer and Hog, which was a little bit too strong.
Yeah.
We're seeing solo laners make the conscious choice of going for starting Heavy Hammer or Hog. We're seeing junglers do that as well. Hog is winning out, but something interesting, we're seeing Heavy Hammer built second, third item on a lot of characters. So Heavy Hammer's still around. It's still a great bang for your buck. We still don't see Frostbound built as much. Heavy Hammer's just a little bit better in as far as gold efficiency is concerned, but it's still in the game. It's still around, and it's not going anywhere because it is a potent item.
Okay. Any last comments on items at all? So let's talk about Cabrakan. Cabrakan had some adjustments.
More Soul Leader.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What was that?
What?
What?
I heard F.
What?
Dot say something. Yeah. Did you hear?
Something.
Something-
Yeah, I heard something about a
Before, I
soul
was
leader.
like, I want to see more Soul Leader.
Oh,
Interesting.
okay. Your mic must have like geeked out because as I'm
Whoa.
talking, all I heard was Soul Eater, and I'm like, and your
I
mouth
have
wasn't
no idea,
moving.
dude. I have
That was
I
weird.
have all of my auto fluctuations completely off in Windows and our program that we're using.
No, you're
here.
good.
I
Your
got
mouth
nothing,
was
dude.
your mouth wasn't moving, and just Soul Eater popped out, and it
Oh
was
my
like
God.
that
That
was
was
weird.
creepy. Oh
So, okay, Cabrakan. So Cabrakan had quite a few adjustments made to him, possibly more viable, but I did not play him at all this week. Did you guys feel the change, see the change with Cabrakan at all?
yeah, he does damage now, like actual damage. He's actually annoying in lane. He's actually annoying now.
Kraken is interesting.
He's not like I didn't look at him and be like, oh, you're interesting. Maybe I should figure out how to get you into my games as a support. No, I was just like, you were really annoying.
F. Dot, did you notice anything with Cabrakan, or did you notice him picked up at all in the Challengers Cup, in that Guardian position?
Potato Boys still won't let Durgius play it. Durgius was the first one that actually wanted to play Kumbhakarna. Durgius is the one that's picking up Odin. Durgius likes to play the stuff that's not Geb and Athena. He's that guy. For better or for worse. For better or for worse. He's a fantastic support player, realistically. And his Kumbhakarna is honestly top tier because of his of how he likes to do things like that. So there is that. Cabrakan is something that he likes to play. I'm interested in seeing him come out. I want to see solo Cabrakan.
Ooh.
I believe that Cabrakan is a Guardian simply because of
Title.
the problem of classifications, which I always complain about. And,
Yep. Yeah, you do. That you do.
I understand the need for them for newer and lower tiered players, but when it comes to high tier play, classifications get a little muddy. Is
Yeah.
Freya really the same as Habois? Like, no.
Good luck with classifications at a competitive level because they are all over the place.
I
with
feel like
where people are
Cabrakan's a
played.
magical bruiser.
Okay.
He is. I saw Shing playing him solo in ranked.
Deveos, too.
Yeah. So it was really interesting to see that he does, like I said, he does damage now, and he can be really, really annoying, especially in team fights.
Do you think he has the sustain though for solo, as you mentioned? Like you had mentioned, you're hoping to see him in solo more and more, but does he have that sustain? Just an open-ended question here.
Not like Chalk. He actually, no.
I
The
mean,
only thing he really has to offer is just how bulky and like how much damage he could absorb, but he has to back a lot. They're actually quite. Actually, I think it was Shing's game where like he kept losing his tower because he kept getting ganked and then he kept having to back because he had no sustain. So.
okay.
Is that Cabrakan or is that Shing?
Oh, throwing it out there. Throwing it out
Don't
there.
make me be the bad guy.
Man,
I wouldn't
Smitten,
do
why you
my
gotta say
job.
such things?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
But
All right.
I think that
Yeah.
Cabrakan doesn't have any built-in sustain like a Chalk heal, but we'll see. I think it could be interesting. Divios can make it work, so we'll see.
Okay, yeah. And I'm interested to hear what Smitten has to say. I know she plays this god a lot. Kukulkan, big change that a lot of people have been complaining about with that change here. Let me bring it up in more details. This is the whirlwind. Reduce the duration of damage once you leave the whirlwind from 3 seconds, that you kind of take that kind of tick damage, to 2 seconds. So what have you noticed, Smitten? Because I know a lot of people are up in arms about this on Kukulkan.
I think it was an unnecessary change. Absolutely unnecessary. Like, Ao Kuang, before his kit was given to Kukulkan, was perfectly balanced. They changed the scaling on his squall that, scaled the slow instead of just automatically slowing you for, like, 800%. Like, I liked that.
Yeah.
I think the whirlwind change was unnecessary, absolutely. Because that was, like, one of my favorite things is playing as Kukulkan is, like, seeing them walk into my tornado and be like, yes! Yes, take more damage. Like, tick 1, tick 2, you're dead. You know what I mean? Like, that was one of the exciting parts. I think the change, it's not just the damage that it does. It's just the ability for his whirlwind to zone out things, to zone out people from objectives and stuff like that. So I think it was unnecessary.
Do you feel that if the duration of that tick damage was set back, that you would be upset if they took the radius of the whirlwind and made it smaller?
Yeah, I don't think Kukulkan needed to be changed at all. It's like they're screwing around with Kukulkan whenever Janus still does like 12,000 damage on his dude.
Oh my word, Giannis right now.
Like,
so good.
Why are we picking on the noodle? We don't need to pick on him. He's perfect.
Your thoughts on Kukulkan with that change? Really? Okay. I like we have both sides of it. What do you got?
They didn't touch the actual damage of the tornado, so you can still be one of the best wave clearers in the game. Still gives you that option to play either really passively by sitting on your tower clearing up, or shoving forward, getting the squall and hitting in the tornado. Like Smitten said, I think the change to squall was one of the better changes that Smite has seen. It scales up with the slow, and you're not going to be leveling that first, so I like that. What I like about this is you still have to be afraid of it, but previously before this change, late game Kukulkan, Ao Kuang, you step into the tornado, you have 10% HP. That's that. And that is a little problematic, because if you are squalled into the tornado, that feels very rewarding for the Kukulkan player. If you accidentally walk into it, that feels kind of ridiculous. So what they did was you get one less tick, if I'm not mistaken, it's 1 second less. So you will still take absorbent amounts of damage, but it will not completely render you useless in a fight. You just have to play a little bit careful. I really, really like the change, and I'm happy where we're at, honestly.
I'm eager to see what HiRez does with it, because I have heard both people pleased with it, F. being one here, and then Smitten being upset with it, especially have been you played Ao Kuang for quite some time, and now now Kukulkan. Any comments at all as to what F.
2 less ticks. It's 2 less ticks. My mistake.
Is it 2 less ticks? Okay.
It's 2 less ticks, and that's when you leave the tornado.
Yes.
If you stay in the tornado, if you're slowed in the tornado or stunned in the tornado, you are still taking the same damage. It's just the damage that you take when you leave the tornado. So
don't stay in the tornado. You're screwed.
Exactly. One of the more important things, Smitten mentioned zoning. Yeah. I don't think they should ever touch the radius of it. I think it should be gigantic. I think it should be the size of an entrance to the jungle or an entrance to the camp, because that's what he does well.
He has.
It makes his kit viable, though, is what it is.
It's fantastic to be able to say, you are not coming to our Gold Fury this way unless you want to lose half of your HP. It used to be 75% of your HP, and that's problematic. But losing half of it to walk through the tornado, I'm okay with that. That's why it should be the size it is.
It forces people to make a decision.
Exactly.
Do I want to be in here that badly? Bad enough to take all of my health away? I don't know. I'm still I don't think it was necessary. There are other gods that I have bigger problems with, and Kukulkan isn't, honestly, he's not played enough for, I think, to warrant any kind of change.
I'll agree with you on part 1 that there are definitely gods that could have been looked at before.
Yeah, that's true.
Kukulkan is one of the more played gods in SPL and casual combined, but I do agree with you that there are some other gods that could have been taken a look at first. Yeah. But I don't hate this change. I really don't.
We'll have to see what we'll have to see what occurs in the next few weeks. You know, what direction HiRez goes with it. You know, I'm eager to see. I'm really eager to see.
I'm gonna join the smitten train of thought, and I
Okay.
think Thanatos should do 700 damage at level 1 with
Oh
his
my
first ability.
word.
Are we just going with boost my
Somebody's
favorite
mad
character?
because their favorite god is useless. It's okay.
Oh, yo, don't tell iRapper Thanatos is useless.
I
will
I have Thanatos is fun.
That's right. That's right. He can't say nothing. That's because he knows I'm right. It's okay. It's really okay to be wrong. You know this, right?
So Mercury. Mercury was a decent, a bit, I shouldn't say decent, was a big change to him. Made you look, radius increase per rank reduced, 7.5 at the low, 17.5 at the high, is now down to 7.5 at the low and 13.5. And the big one here, too, is also the range was reduced. So he has to commit himself more from 55 of the range now down to 48. So this was a big one that most of us felt was focused directly on the fact of seeing Mercury in solo lane. Was where we
And
most...
Hunter.
Yeah, very true. You know, kind of
He
a
used
big...
to be able to outrange a Hunter.
The big, you know, a lot of people I definitely saw on Twitter after this was announced was just, you know, very thankful the fact that not only do we see Mercury very successful in jungle, but then we were also seeing him successful, as you had said, playing the Hunter role and then also playing solo. And it was kind of like crossing that line between strong and just one god does not need to be this versatile and being able to play it
One god
everywhere.
to rule them all.
And heavy hammer support Mercury.
Yeah.
And nobody did it, but you could have played him mid.
Somebody just accidentally delete him out of the game because that'd be great.
So,
I think we'd all love our lives a little bit
I
more.
don't think we're going to have an argument or rebuttal against the fact that I think all of us are happy that this occurred
Yeah, no, I think.
and it needed to be done.
Yes, from the community. He's still. So here's the thing: Mercury is definitely still viable in lane.
Yes.
He's just not completely dominant in lane. I honestly feel that Mercury was beat sometimes in the Hunter role, only because of the pro matchups. Player A wasn't as good at Mercury as Player B was at the traditional Hunter that he chose, and that's why he lost the lane. Mercury. I feel like Mercury coulda, shoulda, woulda won every single lane matchup in that Hunter role. As I said, when you level up Made You Look, your Made You Look literally goes further than Hunter basic attacks. It's ridiculous. You can poke and clear. This was a great change, and I'm happy it happened. And this actually was a lot of people were asking for a little bit more of a nerf. This is the nerf exactly that I believe it was on our show here, maybe on one of my streams, where Zapman had actually proposed this. I wanted.
Oh, really? Okay.
Sweeping. Yeah, I wanted something a little more sweeping. I wanted to see some changes to the way the passive worked, and he was like, no. You're going too far. He just needs to have the radius reduced and the range reduced, and that will he'll still be viable in different roles, which I think is important for Smite.
Yeah.
And Zapman continued in saying that like that should be enough, and that's the exact nerf that we saw. And I like Zapman's word over mine.
I think if you look at this, it's a two-part change to Mercury with not only with you know, the radius, but then also with the range. And I feel like we couldn't have had one without the other. I think they were both necessary. You know, some people may argue, oh, well, you still need the range, and you kind of hit on that point there with the auto attack of Hunters. And then the same thing with the radius, as we talked. F-Dot actually pointed out last week, was that radius actually at max does not allow him then to hit the entire minion wave, whereas previously he could. So not only with this, so I feel like it's a two-part change, and both holds its weight with that, without a doubt.
Still strong.
Oh yeah.
He's definitely still strong and still really annoying, but
yeah, I agree. So any last things, you know, as we said, guys, we didn't go into full detail over the entire patch. We did that last week. This is kind of just a review of the patch there. Any last things that you guys want to talk about from this week of the patch or the changes, items, gods, anything, gameplay, anything like that? I think one thing I'm not even going to say it again. One thing to say is that we didn't mention, which came out there, was the new spectator UI that is available. And I'm going to ask F-Dot here because I'm not.
We did use it in the chat.
I was going to say I'm not casting anymore. I haven't casted for months and months, so I haven't seen it. We didn't see. From what I noticed, we didn't see a lot of huge changes on the viewership side. But what did you notice as a caster? Because it looked like, I'm going to call it a utility belt. Literally, you had everything you had everything available to you and more that we have been asking for, not only as a community, but also when I did cast the 3 vs 3, like those types of things, knowing how many wards someone has placed, knowing who has what buff, like, oh my word. So tell us a little bit about it, you know.
So, the Challenger Cup this week used the new Spectator UI. SPL was on the old patch,
Okay.
so they didn't get to use it. You guys at home didn't get to see it. If you go ahead and if you watch the Challenger Cup, then you got to see some of our new stuff. So that should be pretty cool stuff coming out from what's it called? From the Spectator UI. There is a plethora of information from we get to see
Utility belt.
Yeah. Now, when we follow a player in the third-person view, we can actually take a look at what abilities they're ranking up, the cooldowns on their abilities. All actives are listed alongside the side of the screen and shows the cooldown on those as well. We get to see everything from number of Fire Giant and Gold Furies taken to number of people engaged on those objectives at any point in time. There's just literally everything you could ever want. Personally, I feel like it's a little bit of information overload. I've felt this way since the previous patch. I actually wanted less, not more, in our Spectator UI. I like the idea of one of the things I do like about the new Spectator UI is there are a lot of individual panes you can bring up. Like I talked about the player portion, and you can bring up portions about total gold, total KDA, total GPM, etc., graphs, etc. So there's a lot of buttons on the Spectator client that you can press and bring things up at a moment's notice, which I absolutely love. I really do love that. I just don't like it all on the screen at once. I think it's a little bit of information overload. That said, that's an unpopular opinion, and at the end of the day, Spectator is all about what the popular opinion is. People want to see all this information. They want all these numbers, apparently.
Well, I
love numbers.
I think the big thing is too, like, you know, the first time I saw it, like an image of it, I was like, oh my, like, holy overlay Batman. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, I'll be serious. Like, when I saw the image of it, I was like, this is not going to work. But then when I realized, okay, just as you had said, those things can disappear. You know, we don't need, you know, you don't see all of that stuff. I'm really happy that the casters have this available to them. Now, granted,
when I'm casting, I have everything up.
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, your camera view. But I guess the thing is, like, you as the casters had certain tools available to you previously that gave you some of this, but now, as you said, it's information overload. And to me as a viewer, I would rather you as the caster have all this information. I like to hear when you say, oh, XY Ionic has purchased 17 wards this game. It's awesome to hear that stuff versus so-and-so support has only purchased 5. Like that type of stuff. That type of stuff is really great to hear, and it's good. Not only does it give us more information, it also presents the cast to be more professional because of that information is available to us. I don't want to see the screen cluttered from a viewer perspective. I think it needs to look clean and professional.
Exactly my point. And I mean, as it stands now, before the Spectator, a lot of our stuff is about storyline. So we have, there's a lot of back-end stats that we have access to that will talk about, the history of the matchups, what they do in the past, what they do in the previous matches. Like I said, we have back-end stats. Cret and I do our own stat keeping as far as stuff that HiRez doesn't keep track of. I always have a notebook in front of me when I'm casting, and I'll make tally marks as far as blue team has taken 7 out of 12 mid harpies, and I'll make notes of that and I'll reference that in the cast. Now we actually have it. We have tangible stuff on screen for the current match, which I used to scribble in a notebook for it. Now I have it on screen, so it's interesting, and you get to bring some more things to the conversation. Which, as a caster, I'm always looking for things to talk about.
It's adorable.
Smitten, did you have a chance to catch any view of that Spectator UI at all? Okay, I wasn't sure.
By the way, everybody at home, it's on the current patch. It's nothing too fancy, if I'm not mistaken. You can go ahead and /spectate anybody you want, whether it's high-ranked player, Zapman, Shing, somebody very good at the game like that, or if you just want to spectate one of your friends, open up your friends list, right-click, and go ahead and click spectate. You can check that out and try to do my job. It's actually pretty hard.
Yeah, actually, I'll put a post in chat. Here it is right here. Dean Machine actually did a great kind of first look at the Spectator UI, went over how it works, what information's there. So I'll put it in chat. So go check it out if you guys haven't already. It is available right there. So we did a good job with that. So kind of rounding it out as it did. Any last comments on the patch before we jump into a few community questions before we head out for today?
Negative.
All right, so let's go ahead. We're gonna load up.
No,
Ask...
that's it. Just really excited about the challenge.
Whoa.
All right.
That delay is so weird.
It's not.
He's doing it on purpose, I swear. It's okay. It's only the second time. Not a big deal, but it was kind of funny.
Well, okay. All I'm saying is that, yeah, I like the direction that Spectator UI is going in. I want to see. I know our production staff at the Challenger Cup is phenomenal, and she's only going to get better as she gets practice with this with the overlay and how it works, because now it's F1 through 12 and literal 1 through 0 and minus and plus do things for Spectator.
Wow.
You actually have
That's
to
huge.
be able to move and press buttons and be a pro cameraman or woman anyway. So, like, it's kind of interesting to me, and I think given some time, production staff at Challenger Cup will knock it out of the park. She's an avid professional, and it's only going to get better. So stay tuned to some of that stuff and be very excited about what we see in the from the production side of things, for sure.
With Spectator kind of becoming more and more, not only with like the toolkit that's available as we talked about, but also with the angles that HiRez is providing and the professionalism, the view. I think the role of, you know, cameraman or woman is becoming more and more of like, just like caster, you know, commentator. Let's be right here. Commentator is, you know, it's a specialty. I think this cameraman or woman position within Smite is becoming more and more popular, and that we're finding that,
Well, it's
you
an
know,
observer. This is in all esports.
Correct.
That there's dedicated observers. And stuff
correct.
like that.
But in the past, we had saw very much so where one of the casters was also that camera person. Let's go back 6 months, a year. It was occurring a lot like that. The production and also the advancement in Spectator has allowed this now position to now become something where, like, some John Smith off the street can't just jump in and spectate for a professional level. Like, there is, you know, as you said, you know, the people that are doing it now, like, I've come a long way, and it's looking better and better.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of buttons to press, but just for full transparency, I mean, we've always, for high-res stuff, we've always had dedicated stuff. I mean, I have moved the camera around while casting for Tier Monster and stuff, but when it comes to the real deal Hi-Rez Studios type stuff, we've always had a dedicated observer. Whether they were bad because Brad is a different story, but you know, it's definitely something that we have had dedicated. So I just want to make sure we do have that out there. But there are a lot more buttons to press, and you're right that the average Joe might be able to come and control the camera and catch most of the action. The intelligent player will be able to foresee what's going on. That's why Pecky's and Moji, who does production for Moji's an ex-competitive player. She understands that every 3 minutes there's going to be engagement around the mid camps. That's where the camera needs to be. In the solo lane, that'll be in between because there's rotations, and the deeper level thinking before it happens is what you need to do. And now beyond that, not only do you have to have the necessary knowledge of the game to control the camera and spot where the action's going to be before it actually happens, but you also have to be able to memorize all these hotkeys and buttons and bring up relevant information at the same time. So it's definitely tough at the moment.
So essentially, like, the cameramen have to be a little more intuitive as far as things going. Okay.
Exactly.
That's a hard job. It can be a hard job.
It's very tough, yeah. And it's a thankless job. The only time you ever hear stuff about production is when y'all mess up.
That's right. That's right.
Production team.
So let's go ahead and round things out. We're gonna take each of us will grab a question from the Ask.fm you know, community submitted questions. We usually like to take a little bit more, but due to time restraints, you know, we went on for quite a bit for not actually having a full new patch today. A lot of community stuff, a lot to talk about with esports. So we're gonna give F. and Smitten a chance to go through, pick one for themselves. I'll pick one as well. So have either of you found one quite yet? And if you have, just jump in.
Are you planning to go back to inviting pro players to the show? Would like to hear their opinions on stuff you're discussing from a pro player's point of view. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot because, I mean, there's so much that we can speculate as casters, as community members, as content creators. There's a lot that we can speculate on, but I think it'd be really, really interesting to kind of integrate some pro player.
Yeah,
No.
pro player analysis has worked out really well on the show, especially when one of us is not available to be in, and we kind of fill them in. The show does work with a pro player guest here and there. You know, guests work out pretty well. Like Hi-Rez Chris comes on and talks about the latest patch coming forward, or you know, we had the gentleman last week from Next Wave Gaming come on and talk about, you know, where they're going with the site. That stuff works out well. I think there are, you know, I don't mind it, but I think there are other shows better suited for pro players. For example, like F. does one with Kret, where I feel a pro player, it's more appropriate with the conversation that's going on. I know Hindu has done some of when Hindu was around and not on a hiatus. You know, he was doing kind of his show where he wasn't, you know, inviting someone on. So that's my perspective. What do you think, F.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I think it's nice. I would like to invite a player here and there to talk specifically about a change. Like if there's a change to maybe a drastic change in the Hunter build, we can bring Zapman on to have a conversation about it. But here at Smite Update, we're generally like a touch upon all things. We focus on esports, we focus on patches, and you know, we kind of this is our little living room, folks. No one's invited. But over on Banzu, you know, over on my show with Cred Banzus, 5 o'clock on Tuesdays on SmiteCentral, we sort of have it's a conversation between Cret and I, as always, but when we go more in depth, for example, our conversation this week will be in-depth discussion on Thirst, what went wrong and why did it, and we're going to invite Wolfie to that conversation at a certain point to really talk and drive that point home. You talked about Real Talk with Hindu Man, where Hindu Man invites an entire pro team to come on and have a conversation with them full on about anything and everything. That's a lot of fun. We see a little bit more here and there. APC and the rest of the esports team go ahead and they put out a lot of content that I feel like not enough people see. Visit the esports sites visit the esports site on a regular basis. That's esports.smitegame.com. And there's always videos up, whether it's featuring Hi-Rez Kelly, Hi-Rez Jackton 10, Hi-Rez APC, whatever it is, you get to see a lot of quality content from those pro players, and you can check that out. There's Face Off, which doesn't feature pro players, but there's esports in a flash, which is a lot of fun. With all of that said, this is your community. If you want to see more stuff from the pros, reach out to them themselves, ask them, or take it upon yourself to go ahead and create content, or ask your favorite content creator, hey, do you have time to do XYZ? Do you have time to invite, maybe have a new show to invite somebody on? Because this is where we're at. Next Wave Gaming, the people that we had on our show last week, was birthed from this exact conversation. Somebody was asking, hey, where can I find more journalism about Smite? And I said, well, you can find it on Tier Monster a little bit, SmiteCentral a little bit more, and that's about it. I invite people to have some long-form journalism, and this guy Spostro opened up a blog spot, and he just started writing, which is literally what I did and how I became sort of a big mouth where I'm at now. So he went ahead and opened up a blog spot. That transformed into Next Wave Gaming simply because people wanted it, and they took it upon themselves to create it. So you can create it. You can ask your favorite content creator to go ahead and reach out to some pros, or just reach out to the pros themselves and say, hey, I really like you. I'd like to pick your brain. Can you, maybe work with some of these guys? Maybe they're busy. Maybe they're not. Doesn't hurt to help. Ask or try yourself.
Good to know. All right. F. You have a question there? Find one or not?
Taking a look at the Ask FM.
Okay. If not, I can go over one. It's up to you.
Yeah. One of the things I really want to point out is Hinduman's not on a hiatus. Hinduman was in Sweden. Hinduman was in Sweden for the European land, and he's on vacation for 2 weeks. He will be back Monday. You will see him for the conclusion of the European Challenger Cup. He will cast Week 7 on Sunday, hopefully. But he will be seriously. He will be there on Sunday, and I hope nobody got the wrong idea. Hinduman loves Smite. Hinduman is very happy to be here. And actually, let me correct myself. Hi-Rez Hinduman is very involved in Smite and everything along there. So very, very important stuff. So
Okay, good to know. This is a fun one I found, but I think it's a good idea. Someone says, will F. make a P.O. box for the hats that people want to send him? If people are going to send you free hats, you might as well.
Do it.
What?
Yeah. There's a few in here.
A princess hat.
Will F. ever wear hats that other people send him? Another question. So get on that PO box, man.
I mean, I'm not wearing a hat right now. You really want me to wear a hat?
There was a question in here, and I think it's important to go over. Someone said, given the community for Smite, do you think that HiRez will take community ideas in creation of new gods, kits, etc.? If that sounds like a newer player type of question. The reason I say that is because we as the community influence HiRez in so many ways. Example, top of the show, they're doing a poll as for we as the community to decide what Thanatos skin we get from the community submissions. We had the Nuwa change that was done to her appearance, due to the fact that the Chinese market felt that it didn't depict her as well as it should. Like, there are changes that occur all the time from the community that affect not only in-game balance changes, but also affect kits, affect gods, everything. So I think, if not anything, the relationship between the community and HiRez, I feel like is just amazing and has been amazing since early alpha. Any other comments on that?
No, I just want to reiterate what you said. You nailed it.
Okay. Go F. What question do you have for us today? No, he's like, I gotta find one.
Okay.
What's your deal, bro? What's your deal?
Wild card is no longer round robin. We literally just announced this that it was round robin.
Oh my god.
It is not. So, number 5 SPL.
Okay.
Seed number 5 in the SPL will face off against seed number 2 in the Challengers Cup, and seed number 6 in the SPL will face off against seed number 1 in the Challenger Cup. That is the official statement from HiRez APC via Twitter. I'll go ahead and link that.
So is it just a one-day tournament then?
No, I think it's a little bit more than that. I'm not too sure, but that is official, and Potato Boy's got to be mad. I mean, well, 1, 2, no. There's really no way they could tie it up, but still.
With that comment,
I'm surrendering 8 minutes.
Okay, so I feel with that comment that we'll probably see an announcement from HiRez sometime this week regarding the wild card and more details. Without a doubt, they'll have to be. We're so close, and so okay. I can see where you were. I was like, what is he up in arms about? What is going on over there?
Right? I was like, oh god, here it goes.
I know.
Here's where we lose F.
He's like, I'm out. I disagree. Click.
Yep. Like, he was about to hang up on us. We're gonna have to find another co-host. Like,
most likely next show. What you got? Why don't I'm like APC? I'm gonna call you and have you on the show right now. Stop it.
I think APC just doesn't know what the former and the latter means. Because the literal up to the second information I got, which is 3 minutes after the timestamp of that tweet, is that it's going to be round robin. APC. Whoops. Thought he meant regionals. Lol. Deleted. I'm stupid. Thank you. Maybe I added in the I'm stupid, but whatever.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
All right.
Right?
Refix. I just wanted to make sure I got in touch with him. The man himself, Commissioner HiRez APC.
Commissioner.
That is the title I give to APC.
Can we give him the new esports title of Commissioner of Esports?
He's Commissioner of my heart, at the very least. So.
Oh my
word. It will be
word.
round robin for the wild card. It will be seed based for the regionals. That is final. There is no more fixes. There is no more rectification. That is it. And that is done. One more time. Wild cards will be round robin. Doesn't matter if you're 1 or 2 seed, as long as you're 1 or 2 seed. And the regionals will be seed related.
Okay.
God.
Man.
Glad you got that figured out. So
Esports
Freaking HiRez
so...
jacked and tan, just not in the brain.
It's Sunday. Maybe he was doing things all day.
So F. Dot, what question? Well, you still got one question left for us here.
I was going to talk about Arachne. Somebody asked. I lost it, but basically they were like, "Look, Arachne's been picked in the SPL.
Yeah.
She gets pooped on. She's doing well in casuals. What's the deal?" And me and Rafa were talking about her, and the problem is you just don't fight the bug. That's Rafa is Mortality Gaming's very own jungler, so SPL player right there for European Mortality Esports. Rafa said, and this is something that I completely agree. It's always nice to agree with a pro player. Like, I'm smart, yeah. But Arachne's good at what she does, which is murdering people, a la Loki. But that's all she does. She runs the jungle, protects invades, and in the solo queue that can be problematic because there's not as much communication. Even in ranked on curse, it's different, it's hard. When you're a team, you just don't fight her. Arachne's in the right back jungle. Either we collapse 4 people or we leave her alone. Like, that's what you do. So on a competitive level, and I love seeing differences with characters like this because it cements the fact that, yes, folks, there's a difference between Super, Master, Diamond, tier ranked, and competitive. On a competitive team with communication and practice, Arachne's not going to... she might do well once in a while, but that's going to be the way Kali gets ahead. It's not something you can depend on because you can work around it, you can kite, etc., and that's all high mechanical skill. At a casual, lower-tiered, low elo, non-communicative solo queue, Arachne can just kill whoever the hell she wants.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that is something I actually noticed, which just, I didn't think about it, but I noticed a tiny bit, which is where Arachne was in the competitive scene. I know we talked about it the other week, like, eager to see where she lines up, with Mercury and everything like that, so good to know. Outside of that, I think that's probably going to round out the show. We really didn't get to do as many community questions as we usually get to due to time restrictions, guys. We're probably going to go ahead and wrap things up. With that being said, I want to let you guys know, if you guys enjoyed the show or you have feedback for us, there is a link directly below this video screen that has streamer feedback, and that goes directly to HiRez. So if you have some praise or some comments, your feedback is definitely heard. So please click that, select Octane Pro, and then leave your feedback, whether what your thoughts are. We'd love to hear it. It does get back to us, so we do end up hearing, how we're doing, and that's extremely important for a show like this. Furthermore, why don't we go around the table here? Where can people go ahead? Smitten, you can start out first. Where can people check you out if they enjoyed you hosting the show today?
YouTube.com/GangFirstGaming, Facebook.com/GangFirstGaming, on Twitter @SmittenGFG, and on Twitch, twitch.tv/Smitten.
Alrighty, and F. What about you? Where can people enjoy more of your content?
You can find me in bed or at the bar. I'm going to sleep.
I like it. I like it.
You can find me at twitch.tv/fswag, twitter.com/f.ny, and also right here on Smite Game. I'm here Sunday, and during the week, I also do Smite Game. I stream every weeknight, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m., so come check me out there. All in all, if you follow me on Twitter, I'll always tweet out, and if you follow me on Twitch, I generally host myself, free advertising, and I also have my schedule down below on my stream, so I'm all over. Like I said, I do a show with Cret called Banzeus on SmiteCentral. I do Smite Update. I stream here. I stream personal channel. I'm all over. Check out twitch.tv/fswag to find all the information on where I'm at if you're that interested. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Sounds good. And guys, if you guys want to check out more of the shows that I do, some of the YouTube content as well, you can find everything that I do, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Octane Pro, SCII. And go check that out. Once again, we'd like to thank Hi-Rez Studios for allowing us to host the Smite Update on their channel. If you guys are checking out the VOD on YouTube or the audio option, it goes live every week on Sunday at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern, so please come out and join us. Before we go ahead and head out, I want to let you guys know we will have another Smite show coming on next. It is called Smite Talk with myself and FG3000, and it's very much a traditional radio-style show where you guys can go ahead and call in live and give your opinion on anything Smite related. Some things you like, you dislike, comments, questions, anything you'd like. So stay tuned for that. For myself, Smitten and F. We'll see you folks next week. Have a good one.
Bye.